We used to be a team no one respected. We used to be a team no one feared. That was then.
Shit out here.
This is now.
First victory of the year on the line. Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, end zone. Yes, caught!
You know who we are.
10-5, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
And you know where to find us. We won't be far. We'll be on your front porch waiting for you. We are the New Era Lions. And
we are driven by Detroit.
Hello, MCM and Detroit Lions fans at large. It is good to be here. The Lions won against the Minnesota Vikings 30-20. And while normally that would be the best thing to talk about all day, we are actually more concerned about what is going on around the NFL coming to the stage. We've now got Big Wes Kiven. How's it going, Wes?
It's too late for that now. Shut up.
Good.
Shut up.
So good. At least they're 12-5.
That's good. Right now, I'm actually watching the Rams and 49ers game. The Rams are currently up by 1 against the Niners. Packers are going to beat the Bears, so they're in. But the real question is, can the 49ers beat the Rams?
So actually, if the Rams win, we play the Packers. If the Rams lose, if the Rams win, we play the Rams. If the Rams lose, we play the Packers.
Correct.
Yeah, Rams just got the ball back.
Well, I don't know if they're going to rule. They're ruling it an incomplete pass now.
Oh.
So we're right now. In case everybody's wondering, everybody's talking about the Rams and the Niners game because right now, depending upon what's going on, if the Rams win, we play them. If the Packers win and the Rams lose, then we play the Packers at home. It just depends here. Really, it's going to depend on what happens at the end of this game because the Packers just wrapped it up against the Bears. They're going to the postseason.
Come on, Packers.
Packers already won.
I know that. I'm just saying that I'd rather play them than well, I'm not scared of Los Angeles anyway, so it don't matter.
And Sam Darnold just got sacked. So the 49ers are going to have to punt with 4.5 left, but going to be an interesting time here for the next 4.5 minutes. But I know everybody was excited about the fact we finished the year 12-5, beat the Vikings, finished 4-2 in the division.
How about them Cowgirls?
They're beating up on a crap team anyway. They're beating up on a crap team.
Yep.
That's what they do beating up the majority of the season anyway. They it's going to be very telling when it's time for them to go to the playoffs.
Exactly. Anyway,
the Eagles.
The Eagles were down 24-0 before the half, and they pulled their quarterback to put in Mariota. Very first play, Mariota goes in, he throws a pick.
So they're still losing, right? Is that game over yet? It was 24-10 last night.
Let me take a look, see here. Currently right now, because I got the scores all pulled up, the Eagles game is still going on. They're down 27-10 with 3.5 left.
Yeah, the cheesesteak gun bad. It's over.
Yeah. The Chiefs don't really care. I mean, they're in. They've won their division, but the fact they're only up by 1 against the Chargers is kind of like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right here. With everybody here that we're expecting, let us get into it. We'll go through our comments really quick. Burns says, hey. LDV Tennis says NFC East is a sham. Over the years, 2 bad teams, Giants and Washington, have propped up the other 2 teams and their QBs. I wouldn't say that's not 100% inaccurate, but Washington and the Giants haven't been good for a while. Nick Burton says, do you think the Lions beat the Rams in the playoff? I think they have a chance to.
Mm-hmm.
Burton says, we're ending the season 16-5. So you say we're going all the way to the Super Bowl?
Possible.
Yeah, it's possible. King SJ says, what's up, guys? Go Lions. Not much, just enjoying the weekend. Burns says, yep, would rather play the Packers than the Rams. King SJ says, doesn't matter who we play. LEV Tennis says, Packers have a good D. Rams D is mediocre. Anthony P says, go Lions. Joseph Ostin says, yo, go Lions. Roger Horvath says, the Packers are playing good right now. Thomas Donner says, also, if we play next week like today, we lose. I'm assuming he's meaning on defense. Anthony P says, Goff takes Stafford. Chuck Osborne says, do you know who's not going to be head coach in Washington? That'd be Ron Rivera.
Mm-hmm. He's retiring.
I don't know if he's retiring or not, but realistically, I think he's done because I don't think he's going to be a coordinator somewhere else. I just don't see that happening for him.
Yeah, it's about time.
Thomas
He's in
Donner
his
says the
70s.
Pack is going to come to Detroit, not afraid at all. Big trouble. We'll see what happens. There's 2.5 minutes left for the Rams and Niners. But with that being said, we're going to get to our we're going to get to our questions here, obviously. As always, any comments or questions, we'll get to them as we can. But first question of the night, we'll start off with DC. DC, here you go. Who are the winners for the Lions from the victory against the Vikings? Who do you got? I think DC's taking a break. I know that I know that
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, DC. It's who are your winners from today's game against the Vikings?
Definitely got ASB for about the coolest touchdown I've seen all year. Khalif for tearing it up on special teams. And other than that, I would do our running backs for getting damn near 1,000 yards apiece.
Yep. Well,
Those are
actually,
good games.
Montgomery did get 1,000 yards.
Yep.
Gibbs almost did.
Yep, they did it today. They just ran all over them, killed the clock, and that's all we need.
All right, fair enough. I know Jay's busy because he's driving back to the store with his kids, so I'm going to let him be for the moment. Chemical, what do you got? Who are your winners today from the game?
Okay, we can go with Montgomery. We can go with Jack Campbell. We can go with the D line. Lee McNeil did his thing today. Of course, we're gonna go for Khalif Raymond on special teams and on catching them few passes. We're gonna go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course. Goff didn't turn the ball over, so we're gonna go with him. Even though he got sacked once today, and it wasn't like intentionally.
Yeah, he got sacked one time.
Yeah, but for the most part, he was extending plays today too.
Yeah, he was.
He was extending plays. I say the whole thing. The defense more than the offense, but we played a pretty much balanced game.
All right, fair enough. What do you got, Wes? What are your winners from today's game?
Well, the biggest winner to me is Josh Reynolds because they threw him the ball 4 times in a row at the end of the game there, and he ended up getting a $250,000 bonus because he needed 36 yards that game, and he was a little short, and they threw him the ball 4 times in a row in the last minute, and he ended up getting his bonus. So he's taking the boys out for drinks tonight, I imagine.
Let's say $250,000. That's a nice bonus.
That's a nice little bonus.
I take it.
I was about to say I don't know too many people that would thumb their nose up at $250,000.
Nah, I would.
I mean, I agree with all you guys. I mean, the winners are clear. I mean, Montgomery getting 1,000 yards, Goff playing a good game, cracking the 30 touchdown barrier, getting the 4,500 yards. St. Brown again coming up with like near 150 yards catching. The offense I thought played very, very well, except for a couple of spots where it kind of lulled. I loved what I saw out of Hutch. Hutch getting 2 sacks. Jack Campbell stepped up and probably played his best game of the year. The fact that once again we got 2 interceptions, one from Cam Sutton and the other from CJ Gardner-Johnson, both getting their first interceptions of the year in the last game. That was kind of interesting, but I thought there were a lot of winners from the game. I really, really did. Really did.
Take a look. I think we ended up with 4 players with 10+ touchdowns, right?
We did. We'll actually talk about that here. We'll actually talk about that, but that actually is something that
plus St. Brown plus the tight end. Yeah.
Oh, they said St. Brown broke Megatron's them numbers too.
As far as yards within the first 3 years of their career.
Yeah.
But all right.
He's got a ways to go to get 2,000 yards like Megatron did that one.
Oh yeah.
Chuck Osborne says Brown is my winner as well as Gibbs and Montgomery. Roger Horvath says our defense is terrible. How do you give up a 3rd and 30 to a backup QB? That and the 4th and 6, that to me is just still going to bug me for a while.
They're just playing that soft coverage.
They've played that soft zone coverage most of the year, and every time they do, it always does not work.
Mm-hmm.
It almost looked like the safeties weren't communicating properly with each other. I don't know what was going on out there, but twice it looked like Sutton thought he had help, and then Vildor thought he had help, and they looked and they were the last man. Like,
right.
It's got to be one safety's got to stay back on those plays, especially late in the game when you're winning. I didn't understand it. It's got to be.
Nobody is scared of the Packers. Trust me.
LDV Tennis says, LOL, Lions should not be scared of the Packers. Thomas Donner says, think of it, give it 400 yards, again, passing and 100 rushing. Any other team we lose, I have no confidence in next week. Damn, I've got confidence. It's just that defense gives me kinds of problems. Gordon DePress says, besides Hutch, Pascal was a force. That is true.
Yes,
Josh
sir.
Pascal,
Yes, sir. Thank you for that one.
Pascal had a pretty damn
The
good
whole
game.
pass rush played pretty good. What did they get? 4 or 5 sacks today? They did pretty well.
Yep.
They got 4 sacks. Campbell got a sack. Hutch got 2 sacks. And Levi Onwuzurike got a sack.
And Hutch had a big tackle. For
No, I think they got 5. They got 5
5.
today because you know who else got a sack?
Oh,
Campbell
McNeil.
did.
Who?
Campbell did.
Jack Campbell got one too, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I said. Jack Campbell got 1. Hutch got 2. And Levi got 1. That's 4.
Oh, so it's 4. Yeah, I thought it was 5.
No,
tackle for loss.
it would have been 5 if that one that Romeo Aquara had counted, but they called that one back on a penalty.
Yeah, that's the 5th.
Yeah.
All right. So, I like this comment. Burns says, winner, Brad Holmes for all the rookies. All right. So, let's move into our next topic here. So, Wes will start us for this one. So, in your opinion, did you have any losers from today's game against the Vikings, in your opinion?
Well, Kendall Vildor, to me, is not very good. I think Jerry Jacobs is probably that good, and he wasn't very good either. We need either a second corner, which we're not going to have this year. To me, we almost have to move one of our safeties to outside corner.
Maybe.
Either Branch or CD Deuce or somebody's got to play corner because we don't have 2 good cornerbacks right now.
What about Melifalo? Melifalo will put him in at the strong and then put CD Deuce over there.
That's what I mean. Either Melifonwu or CD Deuce or Branch, one of them has to move to outside corner. I don't care which one. Somebody's got to do it because we don't have an outside corner on that side right now. They all suck.
Yep. So it just came across. The Cowboys officially did beat the Commanders 38-10. So they have officially secured the number 2 seed, and the Lions are locked in at number 3. So all it comes down to is these last minute and 10 seconds or so for the 49ers and Rams game. So there's a minute left in the game. The 49ers are going to get the ball back. And I'm looking at it right now. The 49ers are going to start their drive at the 23-yard line. So they got 55 seconds and no timeouts. So we'll see what goes on with that.
Who's the quarterback for the 49ers right now?
Sam Darnold.
I think the Rams will hold on.
Well, think about it. All the 49ers need is a field goal to win. They don't have to get the touchdown.
Yeah, but
I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
It determines who we play. If the Rams win, we play the Rams. If the Rams lose, we play Green Bay. I think we can beat either team if we play a clean game, but we got to play a clean game.
Yep.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So Chris just came in. So I'll ask you, Chris, since you just came in, who are your losers today from the Lions game against the Vikings?
Aaron Glenn.
Oh, boy. Well, knew that was coming. All right. Short, succinct, and to the point. All right. Fair enough. Chemical, who are your losers for today's game?
Yeah, Aaron Glenn for playing that soft coverage. He shouldn't have been playing that soft coverage. He should have stuck to what was working.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know if Jay's back, so I'm not going to bother him just yet. What about you, DC? Who are your losers from today? Okay, we'll wait for DC. I'll just say this: my losers from today's game. As much as I hate to say it, not because of his play, but because of what happened, Sam Laporta. Because to get injured at this point in the season, even though that had nothing to do with him, that's bad. That sucks.
Yep.
So that hurts for him. Now, as far as losers, as far as performance is concerned, Cameron Sutton, I don't care if he got an interception. He still got roasted by Justin Jefferson, just like he got roasted by CeeDee Lamb last week.
Yeah, he did.
And I would also say Aaron Glenn, because it's like, listen, you think about it. Aaron Glenn has done virtually every other thing right about this defense over the last 3 weeks. Very low rushing yards, has gotten turnovers, has gotten sacks. He's done everything else right. But he can't, as a cornerback, a former Pro Bowl cornerback cannot figure out how to stop freaking wide receivers against backup quarterbacks. Save, obviously, Dak Prescott. But Nick Mullins in 2 separate games throws almost 800 yards against us. How in the hell does that happen?
They like those one-on-one matchups they see.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You literally go back and you watch that game at any point in it. Notice how much coverage lapse there is from the wide receivers. There's literally like 5-6 yards of freaking cushion off those wide receivers, and it's just for one guy, Justin Jefferson. The only guy that really could cover Justin Jefferson in the course of the game was Ife Melifonwu. Melifonwu was the only guy that could really keep up with him and not make him have an impact. That for me is just –
I agree.
That to me is just stupid. It's like a guy that has not played in the NFL for a lot because of injuries is our best cover guy out there.
Yeah.
So that to me is just crazy. But DC, you just came in. Who are your losers from today's game?
I'm definitely going to say Aaron Glenn. I definitely need to be an asshole and blame part of this on Mosley for missing the year with an ACL, because we would have been a lot better with him in there. And personally, I mean, Laporta is very, very concerning.
Well, I'm just going to say this right now and kind of spoil part of the question earlier, but Jeremy Fowler, he came out with a report, and ESPN verified it, that it has been told that Laporta has a hyperextended knee with a bone bruise. So it's not a tore ACL. It's not a tore MCL. Because apparently when the Lions did their initial MRI, they didn't see any ligament damage. So he hyperextended the knee and has a bone bruise, which we'll get to more on that, but it's not as bad as what some people thought it was going to be.
Yep.
It means it depends. There's a possibility he could play this weekend. It's just going to be a matter of how quickly that knee can heal. But all right, let us take a look at some of these questions here. Let's see here. T says Stafford versus Goff revenge tour. Lions versus Cowboys payback. Then Lions versus Eagles. Matt Patricia Payne. Rams just recovered a fumble from Sam Darnold. The Lions will play the Rams.
Oh, geez, they did it?
Yep. Lions are going to play the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Rams just got the fumble recovery from Sam Darnold. They will beat the 49ers 21-20, and the Lions will host the Rams on their wild card game, first home game at Ford Field.
Oh, good for you, Goodell. You got
just what the NFL wanted for the ratings.
Oh, I know that's exactly what they wanted. The script played itself out. And this is what I literally said this shit like 4 weeks ago. I said that would be the perfect game. And I can guarantee you this, with the Rams playing the Lions, that's going to be a primetime game. You can book it.
Yep.
So that means Green Bay plays the Cowboys, correct?
Yes. Yep. The Packers move down to the 7 seed. They will play the Packers at number 2. Eagles are going to go to number 5 and play the Bucks at number 4. And the Rams are going to be at number 6 and play the Lions at number 3. So at that point, you now have the entire playoff tree for the NFC. Eagles versus Bucks. That's a game I think the Bucks can win. Then you have the Lions versus the Rams. That's a game I think the Lions can win. Then you have the Packers versus the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys win that game too. Packers have been playing a lot better, but I don't think they've got the resources on defense to stop the Cowboys. I just don't see it happening.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So, it is official. Stafford versus Goff. Stafford returns back to Detroit for a home playoff game, something he could never do here, but he's going to be in a home playoff game for the first time in Detroit ever in his career. So, man, that's going to be something.
Things. Maybe we match up better against the Rams than we do Green Bay anyways. I don't know.
Well, it depends. It depends. Because the way it works is the top seed will play the lower seed. So, in theory, if the freaking the 49ers obviously get already a bye week, so they're going to get the lowest seed whoever wins. And then it kind of breaks itself down from there. Oh, boy. So let's move into our next topic here really quickly. So at this point, we already know who the Lions are going to play, because that was going to be my next question. Who do you likely think we face? So now that we know we're going to play the Rams, let's revise this question here. Since we know we're going to play the Rams, how well do you think we match up with the Rams. What do you think, DC? How well do you think we match up with the Rams?
Very well. I mean, it's kind of funny to see how much better Goff and St. Brown have done for us than Stafford and Megatron. Let's just throw that out right there. And second, I mean, aside from Aaron Donald, I'm not that worried about anyone on that Rams team, and we have the better coaching staff. So I'm completely confident against them.
All right, fair enough. I know Jay's, again, still busy taking home groceries from Walmart. So, Chris, what do you think? How well do you think we match up against the Rams for the wild card?
I think we match up long as we can keep Cooper Kupp contained.
Well, don't forget Puka
Puka
Nacua.
Nacua, yeah. They got Puka Nacua over there. He's been that go-to guy all year.
I don't remember his name.
Well, you better. He broke the receiving record mark for receptions and yards for a rookie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's got himself a bright future. But no, that's going to be ultimately the point of conversation for every single Lions fan for the next week. How do we cover those two with this defense that's given up so many yards to these wide receivers over the last 3 weeks?
That's another storyline. The two top rookies in the NFC playing each other.
I mean,
Tua
some
and
of them.
Laporta. I mean, they're two record-setting rookies.
Well, we'll see if Laporta can play first and foremost. But I mean, you also got to throw Gibbs in there too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hyperextended knee and bone bruise. I definitely
Gibbs, Branch, Campbell.
Well, those again. There's a lot of big time rookies that are going to be playing in their first playoff game. A lot of them. But Chemical, the question now is to you: how well do you think we match up against the Rams?
I think we stack up them pretty good. I think against their defense, we're gonna mangle that defense though, because Aaron Donald is not that same dude no more.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Wes? How well do you think we match up with the Rams?
To be honest with you, I think we match up better against the Rams than we do Green Bay, because Green Bay has more speed receivers and a quarterback that can move, whereas Stafford is pretty much in the pocket kind of quarterback, so we have a better chance to get pressure on him. And their receivers like Kupp and Puka Nacua aren't speed demons. They're more possession type receivers that just get open by running good routes. So I think we match up better, but I think we can beat either one of them. It wouldn't have mattered. But I mean, it's all up to us. If we play a clean game, don't turn the ball over, I think we win.
No, and here's what I'm going to say is ultimately my personal thought process with how we match up with the Rams. You want to know what I think this game's going to be very similar to? I think this is going to be a very similar game to the other LA team we played this year, the Chargers. The Chargers defense was not that good. It was a high-scoring affair. Our offense had to outscore Justin Herbert and their offense, which is exactly what we did. Neither defense came to play that day. As what we've been told, the Rams defense this year has not been all that great. It's had moments where it's looked good, but it hasn't been great. Same thing with the Lions defense. It's had moments where it's looked good, but it's not been all that great. So ultimately what it comes down to is this: which offense scores the more points and which defense gets that critical stop when it's absolutely necessary. That's what it comes down to. Now, for me,
we've been doing.
Think about this. The other area that I think is going to be a crucial matchup is this. How does the Lions defensive line go up against the Rams offensive line? The Rams offensive line has not been too particularly stellar this year. It's not been crap, but it's not been stellar either. We just saw how Aiden Hutchinson over the last 2 weeks got 5 sacks. Josh Pascal's coming on. We just got Lee McNeil back. And Levi Onwuzurike actually got a sack this week. So it's like, okay, now we're starting to see how this defensive line can start to apply pressure on a consistent basis. Now, the question also, like I said, is going to be how well that defensive secondary covers on those wide receivers. That is going to be the biggest area of contention, which means I'm telling you this right now. Aaron Glenn cannot be playing no mother freaking zone. If he plays that soft shell zone, we are going to get tore apart by Stafford. You've got to throw him things he has not seen before. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. Stafford has seen virtually everything the NFL has to provide. So that's just me. And the Seahawks actually wound up winning against the Cardinals, but it matters for not since the Packers won. So Seahawks win to finish the year with a positive record, but they don't get into the playoffs. I understand what you're saying, Steve-O, baby, that Stafford has been on fire lately, but he also just sat out a whole week. Sometimes when players sit out a week, it gets them a little bit rusty and off their rhythm. I'm not saying it's likely to happen with Stafford, but it is something to consider. All right, let's move on to the next topic here, which is this one. So this one will go to you, Wes. Lions tied the franchise record for most wins in a single season, along with winning a division crown. How successful has this season been to you this year? What do you think, Wes?
Well, depends if we win a playoff game. That's the most important thing. I mean, if we don't win a playoff game, it's all for nothing, in my opinion. We have to win next week.
All right.
But, I mean, I'm glad. Compared to where we were 5 years ago, sure, it's great. But I'd rather see us not blow it now. And I think we have the right makeup in this team and the right coaching staff. We'll be ready, and we'll play well next week.
I mean, I'll wait for my turn, but I do agree with you. What do you think, Chemical? What do you think of the Lions season this year?
This is the most successful season we had since my senior year, which was 1991, when they went 12-4 and they won the division and lost against the Washington Redskins.
Well, I was about to say that was the last year that the Lions did get 12 wins, was in 91 when they lost to the Redskins.
Yeah.
So, fair enough. All right, Chris, what do you think? How successful do you think this Lions season has been to you?
I mean, with all the ups and downs, I'm glad that we came on top. So I'm going to say that it's been a successful year.
All right, fair enough. Jay, I know that you're at least home now, so do you care to answer the question, or do you need a little bit more time?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm good. I appreciate the patience.
Nope. That's why I gave it. So, like I was telling the other guys, Lions tie franchise record for most wins in the season. They also get a division crown. How successful would you call this season for the Lions?
I mean, from being a rebuild team to now, like we're just missing them few key pieces to get us all the way to the Super Bowl. I would just like to at least see us get past this first round. A lot of people think that we're going to choke and get dropped out at the first round.
I mean, it's possible. I know that a lot of people are thinking that, and you have to think about it. Lions haven't been to a playoff game since 2017. And on top of that, they haven't had a home playoff game since 1993. So it's been a hot minute. But
none of that matters for most of the guys on this team, though. They weren't even born then.
No.
You know what I mean?
I get that. And it's not like the Lions on either side of the ball don't have guys that have played in high-pressure games. I mean, for crying out loud, Goff's been to a Super Bowl. GJ's been to a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
I mean, there are guys on both sides of the ball that have experience playing in the playoffs. They know what it's like. They know what to expect, and they'll get those guys that don't know what to expect up to speed on it. But that's another time to it. DC, what do you think? How successful do you think this season has been for the Lions?
Very successful. I mean, out of 5 losses, 1, we should have won the Dallas game. We probably should have won the St. Louis game. And the other 3 games, we could have easily won. I mean, Ravens were hot and picked us apart, but other than that, we didn't get blown off the field or embarrassed all year. I mean, we ran it for the season. So I'm all for it. We have playoff wins next. Yes, yeah.
The Seattle game, yeah.
The Seattle game we could have won because we lost by 6 points. I mean,
overtime.
There's a lot of games we could have won that we didn't win. We could have won the Bears game. We could have won the Seattle game. The only game, I will agree that with DC, the only game we couldn't have won was the Ravens game. The Ravens pretty much played us right off the field.
Yeah, they blew the doors off us.
Yeah. Brent DeWitt comes in here with a comment and says, "Turned 64 today. Great birthday victory. Enjoy the ride, folks, because you never know how long it'll be until the next one comes." Good point.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday indeed. All right. Lions Mania says, "Honestly, we could get whooped against the Rams. They have lethal, dangerous offenses." Well, we have a lethal, dangerous offense too. So it's just, again, it's going to depend on what teams show up. If the Lions team that has shown up in games like the freaking Chargers shows up offensively, we got a shot. If a team shows up like the Bucs shows up, we got a shot. If it shows up in games where we've really played well, the Bucs, the Chargers, the Panthers games, the very first Vikings game that we played when the offense went to work, the Broncos game, we've got a shot. If the team that shows up is the one that played against the Ravens, yeah, we're in trouble. but I sincerely doubt that's going to happen because Matthew Stafford don't have the wheels of freaking Lamar Jackson. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, moving on to the next topic here. DC will start us off. So here it is. Jared Goff became the second QB in Lions history to get 4,500 plus yards and 30 plus touchdowns in a season. Only other Lions QB to do that is Matthew Stafford. And he's become the first Lion quarterback since 93 to win a division title. Has he finally deserved to get an extension, in your opinion?
Damn right he does.
Well, I just ask it because this is one of those questions that Lions fans go back and forth between week to week on whether or not he's deserving of it or not.
Yeah, he's definitely earned it. I mean, since he's been here, he's been ungodly. I mean, he's earned it.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. What do you think, Jay? Do you think that Goff has finally earned the extension?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do. I put it in the live chat you had earlier, like for all them Goff haters that keep saying Goff is a bum and a bridge quarterback and all this other crap. He did like 2 different passes on the run to receivers that were in motion. It's like not perfect passes, but they were like right there on the run.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chris? Do you think that Goff has finally earned that extension that people have talked about all year?
I think he did.
Honestly, I hate to use this word, but it looked like they quit. Like they don't have any hope.
All right, fair enough. Chemical, what do you think? Do you think that Goff has earned the contract extension?
I only got one thing to say. That's our quarterback.
Yep.
I mean, that's short, simple, to the point. I always like short, simple answers. What do you think, Wes?
I think he's earned it, but I don't think they give it to him yet until maybe next year in the preseason. I think they're going to wait and see what they have with Hooker first in a preseason game or two, and then they'll decide how much they can afford to pay Goff. I think he'll get it. They'll probably get him for like 4 years, $45 million a year, something like that.
I mean, we'll see. Again, I've said this before. I said the earliest time the Lions could give the extension to Goff would have been the bye week this year. That didn't happen. So now, in my honest opinion, the best time the Lions could do it would be sometime this offseason because it's like, listen, we already know the Lions are going to have around near $80 million in cap space. They're going to use that cap space for a lot of things. But one of the things is re-signing and extending guys that are already currently here, such as Jared Goff, such as Jonah Jackson, and a couple of other guys that are currently already here. So for me, it's like, okay, you get those guys taken out of the way. Now you start looking towards upgrades on the defense primarily because it's like, listen, I don't care what anyone fucking wants to say. The biggest area of concern that defense has is cornerback. We need a freaking shutdown corner like yesterday. We haven't had a true shutdown corner since Darius Slay was here. And it's like that has become one of the biggest prevalent areas of concern next to finding another edge rusher outside of Hutchinson. Because while Hutchinson does good on his own, if he got someone paired opposite of him, I think it would do great wonders for both of them. And we need more offensive line depth. I think that, you know what? We've got a good starting core right now, but it's like, listen, past that, we're really kind of short on depth on both tackle and guard.
Man.
So I think that Brad Holmes has once again got a very full laundry list this year of things that he's got to, add to. But we'll see what happens. Take a look at some of these comments here. Let's see here. SW Lion 16 says, Rams are playing very well. None of these games are going to be easy. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man, as the nature boy Ric Flair would say. That's going way back in the files.
Huh. Woo!
Devo Baby says, 2 former teams going against each other. I love it. This is going to be must-see TV. I'm telling you, everyone, I said it before everybody else, and the NFL didn't confirm it. This was the script all along. This is what they wanted because this is going to be must-see playoff television. SW Lion 16 says, Lions can beat anybody. They can also lose to anybody. Hopefully players execute and our coordinators will be on their games. Yeah. I see Jägermeister right there. And I see that Jack Daniels is on the screen. Patty Grimes thinks Goff gets a 4-year extension. Derek Palmer says, I don't think so. He's not consistent enough. How much more consistent would you like? He threw 30 touchdowns this year, 29 last year, 19 the year before that. He's got 27 interceptions in 3 years versus like 80 touchdowns. I think that's a 3-to-1 touchdown ratio last time I checked.
4,000 plus yards for the season.
Well, that's no. 4,000 plus yards the last
4,500, I think.
Well, yeah, it was last 2
He
years.
had 300 today, so he's 45, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
he's at 4,575, and last year he was at 4,438.
What he ended up with 30 touchdowns?
Great numbers, man.
Last year he had 29 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. This year he had 30 touchdowns to 12 interceptions.
Not bad at all.
No, it's like, again, you're talking about a guy who puts up at least 3-to-1 or 2.5 touchdowns to 1 interception. I mean, how much more consistent would you like? We've had 2 straight winning seasons with him. That's something that hasn't happened since Stafford was here. And Stafford didn't win no division crown.
And did Stafford
A lot of
never
people
throw
don't
for
realize,
4,000
too, you
yards
can
and 20 touchdowns twice?
No, he never did. Stafford never once had 2 consecutive seasons of 25 passing touchdowns ever while he was a Lion, which is hard to believe with Megatron.
Yeah.
But you were going to say something, Wes. I apologize.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't realize is by extending Goff, you can actually create more cap space because you give him a big signing bonus, spread it out over the 4 years, and you can actually get him for an actual salary this year of only like 10 or 20 million, whereas you actually save money. So actually, I mean, you're kicking a can down the road. Sooner or later, it catches up with you. But a lot of teams do that. Like, that's how you create cap space, by giving the guys a new contract.
Plus, on top of that, what the Lions would be doing is be extending him to his current contract. So his current contract numbers from last year will stay the same. That contract won't kick in until 2025.
You could rewrite it, though, too, and do whatever you want. Like
You could. I'm just simply saying that everybody thinks that, as soon as Goff gets a new contract, all that money's going to hit right away. No, that's seldom, if ever, how it works. Most teams
signing bonus does not count against the cap.
No, it doesn't.
Until later. No, yeah, exactly. The year of you signed it, it doesn't count. You get the money right away, but it's spread out over 4 years where it counts over the cap, or whatever how many years. Yeah.
Patty Grimes thinks a 4-year, $42 million contract, which would be about 170 mil total. Be 168, but round up 170. Let's see here. Adrian Mendoza said Stafford in Detroit in wild card round. Yep, we know that. Lions Mania says, David, would you use Jonah Jackson money on a guy like perhaps Daniel Hunter? Ooh.
You can sign them both. It doesn't matter.
You could.
I think Minnesota's keeping Hunter anyways, but we'll see what happens. Maybe not.
Could.
They're in cap trouble.
Well, they're in cap trouble because they got to make a decision. They got to figure out what the hell they're going to do with Kirk Cousins.
Daniel Hunter.
Because it's like, you have to think about it. Kirk Cousins proved his worth to the Vikings because the Vikings collapsed without him.
Yes, sir, they did.
So Kirk Cousins now going to be sitting back there and thinking, you think I asked for too much money? Take a look what just happened at the last season when I wasn't playing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, at that point, the Vikings are kind of over a barrel. Could they use that draft pick to draft an heir apparent and just go straight away with that and just rebuild without Cousins? They could. I don't think they're going to do that, though, because they don't want to fall out of contention in the NFC North. SW Line 16 says lack of motivation is not going to be a problem for either one of these teams. I think it just comes down to who executes better and who coaches better. I think that's a perfect point. Let's see here.
MCDC.
Brent DeWitt says Goff's been to a Super Bowl, same as Stafford, even though Goff didn't win it. I think he's going to have just as big a chip on his shoulder as St. Brown and wants to win it all. Dude, I keep telling you this. The Lions got the best motivating factor they could have gotten this late in the year, and that was getting screwed over by the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Aiden Hutchinson, Goff, Campbell, they all said the same thing. They want a rematch with the Cowboys.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks is what he said.
Exactly. So to me, how do you do that? You have to hope Dallas beats their team, and you've got to beat your team because then Dallas, having the number 2 seed, would then play the next lowest seed. So that would be the earliest way I think the Lions could play them would be in the divisional round. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Let's see here. Christopher Mount says he's a game manager, not a franchise quarterback. Gee, I'm sorry. There's been a lot of game managing quarterbacks that have been franchise quarterbacks.
Franchise quarterbacks are game managers, dude.
Man,
your job as a quarterback is to manage the game. That is your primary job as a quarterback, is to manage the game. Let me ask you this question here. This is the part about Lions fans that always makes me laugh, is that they want guys like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. It's like, okay, fine. I get the allure to those players. There's only one problem, though. There's a reason why there's only 3 or 4 of those guys, Brock Purdy included, that are in the league. They're super fucking freaking rare to get your hands on. So let me ask you this question. Would you rather hope by shooting in the dark you're going to potentially get your hands on one of them, or at least work with Goff, who's been to a Super Bowl, can win you a Super Bowl, and's gotten you a division crown for the first time in 30 years? Which makes more sense to me? Aiming aimlessly in the dark, hoping you're going to get one of those 4 guys, or keeping what you got and keep winning games? Which makes more fucking sense?
And puts up 4,000 yards a year. And 20 touchdowns.
I love this comment. Seffel says, manage them to 12 wins.
Yeah.
I mean,
12-5, man.
It's the truth. Like, how can you argue with the results? You can't argue with the results.
45,000 plus, man. Come on, man. Get out here, game manager.
Exactly. It's like you can't be a game manager and throw 30 touchdowns and 4,500 yards in a season. That just doesn't happen.
The most
Especially
Jalen Hurts is managing games.
7 or 8 quarterback in the whole NFL.
We talking about the purest play action passer in the NFL, and hands down, man. What are y'all talking about?
Think about it this way. Let me ask you this question. Just a hypothetical here. If Jared Goff was to go on the free agent market right now, how many quarterback needy teams do you think would start bidding over his services?
All of them.
Exactly. I guarantee you the Giants would be after him in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you that teams like the Jets would be after him.
Oh, yeah.
There's about 15 teams need a quarterback. I mean, they all want
the Broncos.
Seattle would want him.
That's
That'd
my
be
whole
the last
point.
place we want him to go.
Everybody wants to say that Goff's no good, but it's like, dude, you put Goff on the free agent market, he is going to have bidding up the ass.
Dude's top 5 at minimum.
Well, think about this. He's top 4 in touchdown passes.
Yeah.
He's top 5 in passing yards.
Yeah.
He's top 10 in passer rating.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what more does the man have to do for you to stop riding him like a freaking $5 whore off a door highway?
Make it not cool.
I'm sorry. I don't know how more potently vile I can be about that, but it's like, dude, these Lions fans, they're like, oh yeah, you know what? We won a division crown. Yeah, we've won 12 games. But what else can you do for us?
This is what our
What
game
the hell else do you want?
That's what our game manager got us. You hear me? That's what he got us right there.
I can't, dude. I
more
just
than
can't.
Stafford ever got it.
I can't. I just can't.
They say free Hooker.
Yeah, free Hooker. Let Hooker play in the wild card round. Yeah, that makes lots of sense.
No,
Hooker's he's gonna be a good backup next year.
Well, the problem with Hooker is this. One way or the other, Hooker is not seeing the field until Goff's contract is done. He's already 26. By the time he'd see the field, he'd be in his mid-27.
Well,
if the Lions extend Goff, it could be even longer.
Be careful. Don't jinx
everybody's
people.
30s.
Don't jinx people. People get hurt. People
I'm
play.
just simply saying, if all things remain the same, my problem with letting a guy start that late in his career as a first-time quarterback, that to me is just ridiculous. You take a look at every quarterback that has started late in their career as far as their age is concerned. Chris Weinke, Brandon Weeden. What happened to those guys? They all freaking sucked.
Man.
Like, those are just the last 2 guys in the last 20 years that were drafted in the higher upper end rounds and didn't do anything. Now, am I saying Hendon Hooker's like them? No, he's not. But at the same time, it's like, listen, I don't think Hendon Hooker was drafted to take over for Goff right away. I think that anything, he's an insurance policy.
Yeah.
It's not fair to even judge what Hooker is. He's never seen the field yet. So let's just.
He ain't took a snap in the NFL, man.
Bobo, you can't use Kurt Warner because Kurt Warner played in 2 professional leagues before he got to the NFL. He played in arena football and the USFL.
Yeah.
Hooker hasn't played professional
I think
ball.
he played in the European
college
World League too.
Yeah, he also played in the European League. So Kurt Warner had several years as being a professional quarterback, granted, not NFL, but he still had professional experience. There were professional leagues.
Just like
he was actually the third string quarterback his rookie year, but in the preseason, both the other guys got hurt. It was
Oh, yeah,
Trent
that's
Green,
true,
I forget who
too.
the other guy was. And then he ended up getting the start, and he threw like 48 touchdowns. Like, you never
And
know.
coming to the stage with his division champs hat like myself,
Yep.
Big Dan
Big
Davis.
Dan.
Big Dan.
Lions and the
going?
Rams. Pretty good.
And NFL got their scripted game.
Yep.
I was asking everybody else this question, Dan, since you came in at this time. Jared Goff, first other quarterback in Lions history other than Stafford to get 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, division crown. Do you think he finally earned that extension that people have been talking about?
I think if that's what Brad Holmes and the front office wants to do, then they'll probably eventually give him that. The question is now, when do they do it?
Yeah, there's no
Exactly. Which is pretty much what Wes said. He was thinking that probably be at the preseason of next year.
Right.
Yeah, he's under contract for another year. There's no rush. You can do it during the year, before the year, whatever.
Yep. So, all right, let's move into our next topic here. So this one's going to definitely have some fun. So, Dan, since you just got here, I'll give the first crack at this to you. So here it is. Dan Campbell faced a lot of scrutiny about his decision to start his starters, which only gained further criticism with the injury to Laporta, along with scares for St. Brown and Branch. Do you think Campbell's decision will come back to haunt the team? What do you think, Dan?
I don't think it's going to come back to haunt him because he said like a few weeks ago that his starters will rest when their season is over, and guys get injured. You can't just sit out everybody. So people had to play. If it was a quarterback, that'd be one thing, but he's a rookie tight end, so he was going to play regardless. So he got hurt. It sucks, but it is what it is. He's probably going to miss at least a week because he's got that hyperextended knee. There's a free agent out there, Zach Ertz, that they could pick up in time for the postseason that could fill in nicely for him.
We're actually going to talk about here probably the next question, so save that thought process. Wes, what do you think? Do you think the decision to start the starters with the scares for St. Brown and Branch and the Laporta injury will come back to haunt the team? What do you think?
I think it was 100% the right thing to do, because look at it this way. If we don't start them all, we probably lose this game.
Yeah.
And then if we lose this game, we're entering the playoffs on a 2-game losing streak. And guys are rusty, didn't play for just play. It's football. Guys are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Next man up. That's just the way it is, man. You got to
Nature
play
of the sport.
Yep.
We still have a chance at the 2 seed. You got to go for it.
Exactly. All right, good answer, Wes. I like it. What do you think, Chemical? What are your thoughts on this whole ordeal?
Nah, I ain't gonna come back and bite him in the hand like everybody's saying. The most that it's gonna cost us with Laporta is that he might be out for about a week. Then again, he might heal fast. We don't know. We'll find out when it's time to go.
All right, fair enough. So next is Chris. What do you think, Chris? Do you think that the decision that Dan Campbell made about the starters and the injuries, the injury scares, do you think that'll come back to haunt the Lions? What do you think?
No, I won't come back and haunt him. Dan did exactly what he needed to do because most of the time, like a high percentage, if they go rusty in the playoffs, they got a high percentage of losing their first playoff game because they rest their starters. But by that adrenaline still gonna leak over into the playoffs. Dan did right.
I agree. What do you think, Jay? What are your thoughts on this whole topic?
I think that even if Dan decided that he was going to want to try and sit the starters, they were going to basically tell him, like, no, this game is too important. We want to play. Like, DJ Gardner-Johnson just came back. You can't ask him to stay. He got done sitting. He want to play. And then the rest of the same thing with the rest of them. They took on the same nature as the coach. The coach has got these planet-sized balls, like to go for it on fourth down and be aggressive. They're going to want to be aggressive, go out there and play. I mean, St. Brown got his little ribs thing injury, and he ran back out there the next play.
All right. Fair enough. What do you think, DC? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely not. I mean, one, that's not the way Dan Campbell coaches or operates. Two, like was said before me, if he said he was going to sit the starters, he'd have a lot of people knocking on his office door all week. They know we're going to play. This team in one to sit out. So it's absolutely the right decision.
Keep them fresh.
Well, here's the way I look at it. several of you guys touched on some very, very key points here. And here's the first key point. I know that Chemical kind of touched on it. I know that Jay touched on it. I know DC touched on it. There was no way the Stars were going to want to sit this game because it's like, listen, you got a chance for the number 2 seed, you go and get for it. Even if it's a slim chance, you still go and get it. So that's number one. Number two, those starters wanted their chance at revenge right after that Dallas game. There was no way they were going to sit after that fucking disgrace on national television, number one. Then you got to think about this as well. Like Wes said, the Lions were not going to want to go into the playoffs on a 2-game losing streak. They wanted to have momentum going into the playoffs. So they felt good about themselves. They felt good in front of the home crowd, get the home crowd excited for the homecoming playoff game. So it's like, okay, you got that. And then finally, it's like, listen, some of those guys, like Josh Reynolds, they had potential monetary incentives on the line. You can't tell them to sit when there's potential money being left on the table. They're just not going to do that.
Right, like Josh Reynolds, after a few receptions today, got like I can't remember the number, but he got a bonus because he reached a milestone.
$250,000.
Yeah.
He got $250,000 for the yardage. He almost got another $250,000, but he missed it.
He needed a touchdown for that.
Yeah. They tried to get it to him, but it just couldn't
yards
happen.
today. He ended up with 45. And they threw the ball 4 times in a row in the last minute to him.
Yeah.
That was a $250,000 move.
And then the final point of the matter is this. I get it. The argument is, well, you don't want your starters to get injured. Okay, I get that. But you're just as likely to get injured in the last game of the year as you are in the first game of the year. It doesn't matter. Injuries are a part of the game. You can't play scared. If you play scared, you're not going to play to win.
Well, they say scared money don't make no money.
Exactly. So for me, it's like, listen, you know what? I'm fine with the fact that, you know what? The Lions played their starters. Does it suck that Sam Laporta got injured? Yeah, it does. But the bright side is we don't know if he's not playing this week. There's more of a highly likelihood that he's not because of a bone bruise and a hyperextension. Chances are the Lions are going to be careful with him. But it's like, listen, out of all of that bullshit, we came away with one injury. It's like, listen, we're going to get Jameson Williams back this week. We've got both of our starting running backs. James Mitchell stepped up and played rather well for us. We're going to get Brock Wright back. So it's like, listen, Laporta's a big piece, but is he irreplaceable? No, he's not. He's just a big cog of that offensive engine.
It was only for a play or two, but did you guys see after the Laporta injury, they lined up Dan Skipper at tight end?
I did, and Skipper actually looked pretty decent doing it.
I think they threw him a pass, didn't they? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They did. Goff threw him a pass, and he got 4 yards off it.
Yeah, he caught one.
Rub it in.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with that, let's move in. Lion Eyes comes in and says the Lions are favored 3.5 over the Rams, which pretty much means it's even money. Because that number's probably going to go down by 0.5 point to a point by the time kickoff hits. So it's going to be about 3 to 2.5. Pretty much means the NFL is giving it even money. James Hollifield says, what about Khalif Raymond? Is he okay? Pretty much what Dan Campbell said, it's about the same thing for him as it is for Sam Laporta. Pretty much it's not as bad as it appears, but it's still pretty bad.
Brian Branch had an injury. He had a wrist injury. They put a cast on it, and he came back in. So
yeah, but
he came right back in the next play, I think.
Yeah.
And Campbell said that neither St. Brown's injury or Branch's injuries were serious. He said they're fine.
Okay.
So they'll play. They're not too concerning. The only ones that are concerning is Raymond and Sam Laporta. Raymond kind of sucks because we saw what he could do as a punt returner because he was freaking lights out as a punt returner today.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe this will be J-Mo's chance to return a punt. We'll see.
Maybe.
It's either him or they'll put a DPJ back there to return punts. He can do that.
That's true.
Again, the injuries are bad, but it's not like it's going to completely derail the Lions' ability to play. Not even close. But all right, here, let's move off of this conversation topic and let's go more specifically with the whole Laporta conversation. So, DC, you'll be up first. Here it goes. According to Jeremy Fowler, Laporta is suffered from a hyperextended knee with a bone bruise on the left knee. The report is the Lions are waiting to evaluate his potential game status for the playoffs. But as Dan said, it has already been suggested on Twitter that the Lions could sign veteran Zach Ertz, who's been waiting on the free agent market from the Cardinals. So, question is, do you think the Lions should go out and get Zach Ertz to potentially fill in as a veteran option? What do you think?
No. I mean, we're getting Brock Wright back and James Mitchell is coming up. And remember last year after the Hawkinson trade, Brock Wright got a lot of big targets. And now you have James Mitchell producing, and now you have 2 tight ends to guard it, to scheme against, set against Laporta. Even if it's one game at worst, even if he starts and just takes minimal snaps, with those 2 coming back, we'll find ways to get him the ball and move it downfield.
All
Not
right.
worried.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What do you think, Jay? What are your thoughts on the Lions potentially going out and, signing veteran Zach Ertz at tight end to kind of fill in for the loss of Sam Laporta potentially?
I don't think we'll go look in free agency for anybody. If anything, I think Laporta will try and toughen through it and try and play maybe a couple plays or 2. Other than that, they'll just use whoever they got. Like, they'll try and find somebody else to fit that role.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chris? What are your thoughts on Zach Ertz potentially, potentially coming here? I think Chris has stepped off for a minute, so Chemical will go to you. What are your thoughts?
Let Zach excuse my language. I'm kind of tired. Let Zach Ertz continue to be position coach wherever he was at. We're fine without him.
All right, fair enough. What about you, Wes? What are your thoughts on the whole Zach Ertz idea?
I can't see it happening. Usually when somebody new comes here, it takes 5 weeks for Goff to even throw the guy the ball. And he has to learn the playbook. Like, they're going to stick with what they got. They're going to go to the dance with the girl they came with. They're going to, give the ball to Mitchell and give the ball to Brock Wright if he's healthy. And, it's Laporta. Maybe they'll shoot him up with some drugs and they'll play. Who knows? But I don't see them signing anybody. I just don't see it.
All right, fair enough. What are your thoughts, Dan? I know you're the one that proposed the idea.
Well, I saw it just proposed on Twitter, but you know what? If they do it, that's cool with them. I would understand why they did it, but like you guys said, like, come to think of it, I think they'll just go ahead and stick with who they got. They'll figure it out. They could throw Skipper out there. James Mitchell can fill in. He had a nice reception today. There's a couple other options we have on the team. I don't expect them to sign anybody.
They'll bring Firsker up. He's a good blocker. Maybe they'll do that.
Well, there's quite a couple of options they can go with here. As Wes just stated, they just signed a guy to the practice squad who's a tight end. You've got Mitchell. Brock Wright should be back next week. You've now got Kabinda back. You could throw potentially Malcolm Rodriguez out there if you needed to in a pinch. And again, we just saw Dan Skipper do it, and we know Penei Sewell can catch too. So it's listen, there's no shortage of options. Just because the tight end is used quite a bit in pass catching situations now, most people don't use tight ends the same way the Lions do. The Lions use both their tight ends for run blocking as well as pass catching. Most tight ends in the NFL now are used solely for pass catching, a.k.a. George Kittles and Travis Kelce's. Laporta is one of the best duo kind of blocking and receiving tight ends out there. I'm not saying for him to catch Braylon Dennis. I'm saying to block. I don't want Kabinda catching passes either. I just want him to block. He's a fullback. He can block all day long. But, I mean, and I know somebody else also asked, I think LDV Tennis was the one that asked, J-Mo should be back next week. The only reason he didn't play this week was because of the ankle and the illness. They decided it wasn't worth putting him out there with both of those issues, so I'm pretty confident he'll be back next week, no problem. So, for me, I'm okay with it. We'll just have to see what happens. But, I mean, Wes also made a good point, because the way it sounds like is you have to think about it. If the initial MRI didn't show a torn ACL, MCL, LCL, whatever the hell it was, so at that point, if it's just a hyperextension and a bone bruise, the real thing you have to ask yourself is this. If it's just that and it's functional enough for him to play, now it's a matter of pain tolerance. Like Wes said, if you give him a bunch of painkillers and shoot and inject painkillers into his knee, if he wants to go, at that point, then that's up to him. Because, again, like Dan Campbell said, well, I mean, it's not uncommon. We've heard it before in the past. Players will take painkillers to try and help them get through games. And, I mean, it's the playoffs. Like, if there's any time you're going to play through injury, it's the playoffs.
Put some tape on it. He'll be fine.
Well, that's
You
why
got
I
all
said,
off season to heal. Just go for it.
well, I mean, it's just like Dan Campbell said. He's like, listen, we'll know more tomorrow about the potential of his game status. So for me, as far as I am concerned, I'm not too worried about it. He could play, he might not play. Don't know. Braylon Dennis says that he thinks that Antoine Green will have to step up if Raymond is out. I mean, if Raymond is out, then Jamison Williams can step in for him because he's even faster than Raymond and he's taller than Raymond.
When was the last time Antoine Green even had a snap or played anyway?
Preseason.
He got one pass this year for 2 years.
No, we've seen him a couple of times. He played in the Tampa Bay game.
Okay, well there you
He
go.
didn't get a lot of targets, but he was on the field. He's right.
I was about to say he hasn't played much this year, so it's like, who would you rather have filling in? Would you rather have J-Mo or would you rather have Antoine Green? Personally, I'd rather have J-Mo.
J-Mo probably could have played today. I think he's one of the guys they held out, actually.
He could have played. They said that his issue was ankle and illness, and again, it's kind of like, listen, if J-Mo felt like he could have gone, he would have. I think they just were like, listen, you're already banged up.
Yeah.
We've already got plenty of starters out there. We'll let you sit and get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move into the next topic. And again, more people keep putting it out there for Donovan People-Jones, which for me, Donovan People-Jones actually did pretty good today. He made two pretty big questions out there. Motown Mitch asks a question for us, which I don't think we'll be able to answer right now, but I'll put it up there since he asked it anyway. Question: who's the best free agent cornerbacks out there?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I don't know.
I was about to say, I have no idea.
I don't know about right now.
I was about to say, all I know for a fact is this. If there's one thing I can say with absolute certainty, Brad Holmes is going to go fishing for cornerbacks this year, either in the draft or in free agency. It's going to happen. Let's see here. Braylon Dennis says, painkillers are risky. If they wear off the wrong time, Laporta will be even more hurt. I hope the adrenaline will click in. Okay, Braylon, let me put this out there for you. The painkillers they're going to give him, it's not acetaminophen and ibuprofen. They're going to be giving him some really strong shit.
That shit ain't going to wear off till the next day.
I was about to say, they're going to probably give him.
Ask Megatron.
They'll give him some Vicodin, maybe some Tramadol, something that's going to take the edge off.
No, they're going to do like cortisone injections and that shit.
Either way, the
and
point is if he can work on it and they give him injections, he ain't going to feel shit in that knee. Like that knee will be so drugged up, he won't feel nothing for a day on
that. Doctors will have to determine if they think he'll make it worse by playing on it. That's the question.
And again, that's all going to come down to the medical staff, the trainers. They're going to be able to determine what he's feeling like. And again, you have to understand something here. It's not like Sam Laporta is freaking Travis Kelce earlier in the year who had got a hyperextended knee just before the Lions played the Chiefs. Travis Kelce's a young buck. His body's going to bounce back a lot quicker than a freaking 30-year-old man. He's like only 21, 22. So for him, maybe a couple of good nights rest and icing the damn thing will really help it out. Gordon DePress says, with the missed PAT, anyone else concerned about our kicker? Concerned? Not really. Do I think we need to upgrade? Yes.
Annoyed would be a better term.
It's too late to be concerned. You aren't going to find one now.
No.
I mean,
God.
We got what we got.
Oh, God. This is hilarious. Lion Eye says, Okuda's a free agent next year.
Oh, God.
I don't want Okuda if he was the last cornerback on this planet. Rich Hustle says he won't feel shit in that knee, but the next few days when that painkiller wears off, he's going to feel everything he didn't feel when on painkillers. That's the whole point. Again, it comes back to how much do you want to win and how much pain are you willing to endure?
Now, if that's the case, he's playing.
Exactly. Which, again, think about where Sam Laporta came from. He came from Iowa, tight end university. Iowa's out there with the big boys. If it's a matter of pain, I guarantee you he's going to do everything in his power to play. Anyway, moving off that topic here, let's move into another elite player of ours. Big Dan will start us off for this one since he's first up. Aiden Hutchinson got a lot of flack from fans for his slow start for sacks on the start of the year. However, in the last 2 games, he's got 5 sacks. Is it fair to say that Hutchinson has joined among the league's elite pass rushers in your thought? What do you think?
I think he's moved up there. He's just a late bloomer. He gets started and fired up later. So, I mean, he's already beat his sack total from last year, so he gets better as the season goes on. So, yes.
Okay. What do you think, Big West? Do you think Hutchinson can now be called amongst some of the elite pass rushers?
Absolutely, because most fans just look at sacks and they don't look at anything else. There's a lot more to playing defensive end than getting sacks. There's getting pressures. There's stopping the run. There's even occasionally dropped into coverage. You're getting your hand up and blocking. He's got, 4 picks now in his career? The guy's an all-around good defensive end. There's more to it than just getting sacked.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. What do you think, Chemical? Do you think Hutchinson is amongst the NFL's elite pass rushers?
Oh, yes, sir. I say definitely so. We're not going to talk about the fact that how they was crying about Michael Parsons being held. He's been put in a headlock, horse collar, you name it. They was doing it to him, and nobody never. He never cried about it. He never batted. They never batted an eye about it. And I believe he's one of the best pass rushers, if not one of the best pressurers in the NFL right now.
Right.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. What do you think, Chris? Do you think that Aiden Hutchinson is amongst the NFL's elite pass rushers now? Moving on. Jay, how about you? Do you think Aiden Hutchinson is amongst the elite pass rushers in the NFL?
Hell yes.
I love the short and succinct answers. They really brighten up my day. What do you think, DC? Aiden Hutchinson, elite pass rusher?
No, I think he is the elite pass rusher. What is he? No, literally, he's leading the league in what? Pressures, hits, hurries. And as Chemical said, apparently the NFL refs have been told do not call holding against anyone blocking Aiden Hutchinson, because what we've seen is just absolutely atrocious offensive line play blocking him. Plus, we have Glenn moving him around more than he was during our slump or slow part in the middle of the season. We got Levi back, Pascal's back. Now we got Houston coming back. The Aquars are actually getting pressure.
That's right side.
Oh, yeah, that's where the sacks are coming from. But the entire time when he was just sitting on the outside end, he was still getting pressures and still getting hurries. I don't know who else is going to do that.
Hutch with 2 sacks today, and Big Levi got 1 too.
And Jack Campbell got 1 as well.
Yep, Jack Campbell as well.
So here's what I'm going to say when it comes to Aiden Hutchinson. First and foremost, when you come to the conversation about Aiden Hutchinson, I know that, like I said earlier on at the beginning of the year, a lot of people are giving Hutch a lot of flack because of the fact that, they're like, well, Kayvon Thibodeau over here, he's got more sacks, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, here. Time out here. How many sacks did Thibodeau have last year? Like 5, maybe 6? And I said this during my last live stream. It's like, listen, what I want out of a pass rusher, an edge rusher, is consistency. Take a look at what Aiden Hutchinson's done all year. As DC said, he's consistently been one of the highest pressure guys in the entire NFL. He's got some of the best amount of numbers when it comes to quarterback hits. And over the last 2 games, he's got 5 sacks, which pushed him up to 11.5 on the year. If you go back to his previous year as a rookie, he's got 9.5 sacks from there. That means in his first 2 years in the NFL, he's got 22 sacks. That means he's averaging 11 sacks a year. I know it's not the way the math works, but I'm just simply saying. That's the mark of a consistent pass rusher, which is what you want. So for me, it's like if your measure of an elite pass rusher is a guy that can consistently affect the quarterback, get sacks, and make the quarterback's life a living hell, I don't see how Aiden Hutchinson can't be in that conversation. So that's just my opinion. We got ourselves another comment here from Braylon Dennis. He says, I'm pissed Gibbs and Monty didn't get 1,000 yards each. We're going to talk about that here as well, but it is definitely something that I was hoping we were going to get, but it did not happen. All right. Gun Guy says he won $100 on the game. Go Lions. Always nice to get free money. All right. Moving on to our next question here. Oh, this is going to be fun for everyone in the panel. DC, you're up first. Aaron Glenn was recently voted the top defense coordinator by NFL players. Do you agree with this assessment?
Well, we don't really have much place to say because none of us ever played for the guy. I mean, no, really. I mean, no, this is voted by defensive players who played for him, who like him, and everything else. So it's obviously he's a very likable coach. I mean, he's got to have that going for him.
Well, I'll just wait here. But okay, Jay, I already know what your answer is going to be, but go ahead. What's your assessment about Aaron Glenn being voted the most whatever defensive coordinator?
It made me laugh. That.
Oh, but remember, this was
Did
about.
he get points for showing up?
No, this
He
wasn't
getting points?
about his. This was about how much the players liked him, not his performance. That was a quirky part about the survey.
If that's what it was all about, that's not saying much.
Yeah, I think he just got points for showing up.
We got the participation trophy.
Yep, participation trophy.
Yeah, but I'll say my piece for the end. I don't know where Chris is. If Chris ever chimes in, I'll let him speak. But moving on to Chemical, what do you got, Chemical?
I concur with the rest of the panel.
All right. Again, I love short, simple answers. What do you think, Wes? What are your thoughts on Aaron Glenn being voted most whatever?
I don't think he's the best defensive coordinator in the league, but I also don't think he's the worst. I think the fans are a little hard on him. He's not the one out there playing. A lot of the times, a player will blow a coverage, miscommunication, or whatever the reason. You can't always blame the coordinator for it. So it's all about execution, too. I think he's middle of the pack myself in reality.
All right, fair enough. I'm going to answer this question really quickly from Try Bry 74. We already found out who we're playing. We're playing the Rams. Matthew Stafford is coming back to Detroit with the Rams team to play the Lions.
We just don't know if it's the Saturday, Sunday, or Monday game.
Well,
but
yeah, we don't. Well,
yeah.
Here's the thing. We already know it's going to be a primetime game. We know that's coming. We just don't know if it's Saturday primetime, Sunday primetime, or Monday primetime.
Yeah, all playoff games are prime time.
Yeah.
Well, they're all
They play
prime
them one
time,
at a
but
time.
do you want what I'm saying is Saturday 8:15, Sunday 8:15, or Monday 8:15?
Yeah.
That one we don't know yet, but it's like I'm going to be honest here. I don't see any other playoff matchup for wild card weekend that even tops that one. Like Cowboys and Packers. Nope. Freaking Buccaneers and Eagles. That's going to be a snooze fest. I'm sorry. It's going to be a snooze fest. The Eagles are crap, and everyone knows it. The Bucks beat the freaking Panthers by 9 points. That was it.
I mean, that's what the Eagles get for letting fucking Matt Patricia run their defense.
Man, it is. And then let me just
Patricia. Oh my goodness.
let's just play this game here as well. I'm just curious here. Who made the playoffs for the AFC? Because I can't even remember. I know the Ravens are the number 1 seed. I know the Bills are in. So
I think
Shocker, because of the Jags loss, they're out.
Yeah, the Steelers are
We
in.
don't know who's
Steelers
playing
are
who
in.
yet because Miami.
Browns are in, Dolphins are
We
in.
don't know who wins the division until they finish that game tonight.
Hold on here. I'm about to find out who plays what. So
They
this
don't
is
know yet.
officially what came out for the playoff picture. So this just got released about an hour ago, which pretty much at this point means that it's up to date, whatever. Here's the brackets. So wild card matchups. Browns, Texans. That's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
Bills, Chiefs. I think the Bills beat the Chiefs. Steelers, Dolphins. That'll be a decent game. But, I mean, you take a look at the wild card side for the NFC, Lions, Rams. Yeah, that's prime time.
Hold on a second. The Bills Chiefs might not happen because the Bills are playing Miami tonight. The winner gets the division. So the winner will be a higher seed. So they can switch places. It could be Miami playing the Chiefs. You know what I mean? That game decides who wins the NFC, whatever that is, or AFC.
It could be, but at that point, all you're doing is just switching it out. It could either be Chiefs versus Bills and Dolphins versus Steelers, or it could be Dolphins versus Chiefs and Bills versus Steelers. Either way, those are two very good games.
Are now. Pittsburgh's in, right?
Pittsburgh's in. Pittsburgh's in as the number 7 seed.
Yeah.
They've locked that down. So, in my honest opinion, let me ask you this question. Name one game out of everything I just stated that has a higher attraction media buy or draw than Rams versus Lions. Name one. The only game that has even potentially more excitement factor to it is the Browns and the Texans. Other than that, I can't think of one that's going to have a better draw than the Lions and the Rams. So for me, it's just a matter of when does the NFL want that potential playoff game to be played? Do they want it played on Saturday? Do they want it played on Sunday? That's all that matters.
Who would have ever thought old man Joe Flacco would resurrect the Browns and get them back into things, you know?
Who
I did.
You know,
I did.
Fox is going to want to have Green Bay play in Dallas as their number one game.
Oh, of course they will, because Jerry Jones wants his team in prime time.
So hopefully we are on the same day as them. And we
Well,
get a prime time game.
Honestly, again, I think the way the NFL is probably going to do it is, honestly, I think they're probably going to pull the Lions on Sunday night. And here's the reason why. Because they want to get all the other games out of the way and kind of leave the entire NFL world waiting for the Lions on Sunday night. So that way it's kind of like the culmination, the crescendo, if you will, of the whole wild card week.
Well, there's a Monday night game too, correct?
I don't think there's Monday night games.
There is. There's going to be a Monday night one.
Two on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday, I believe.
I mean, if that's the case, then the Lions could get pushed to Monday night, which that gives Sam Laporta an extra day to get healthy.
That way you can have 3 nighttime games on the weekend and you get more better ratings, so they make more money. That's probably the way that
And Braylon Dennis, you are correct. The Texans are in. They are in. I know they are in. So they're definitely going to have, like I said, in my honest opinion, either the Texans and, if I had to take a guess, Texans and Browns are going to be a primetime game. And then probably whoever plays the Chiefs is going to be a primetime game. Whether it's Miami or Bills, doesn't matter. I think that's the other primetime game. And then the Rams and the Lions are going to be the third primetime game. Now, the question is, do the Lions play on Saturday with the other team? Do they play with the other 3 teams on Sunday? Or do they play just by themselves on Monday night? Nobody knows. So we'll see what happens.
Tyreek Hill back to Kansas City might be an interesting one.
Well, like I said, it's either Buffalo and Kansas City or Miami and Kansas City. And Miami right now is pretty banged up on defense. So we'll see what happens. But all right, here. Just to get back to the question at hand with Aaron Glenn, I'm going to just say this right now. I said this before in a previous comment, and this is exactly what I'm going to say right now. Respect is not the same as talent. I can respect a talentless hack all damn day long. The way I look at it is this. Is Aaron Glenn one of the most respected defensive coordinators? Abso-fucking-lutely. Think about it. Dan Campbell has nothing but positive things to say about him. Players that have been coached under him say nothing but positive things about him. Other coaches say nothing but positive things about him. That doesn't mean the guy's necessarily a good coordinator. That just means he's very well liked and he's very respected by his peers. Again, you don't have to be good to be respected. Those are just the facts. So when everyone wants to say, oh, for all the Aaron Glenn haters, he was voted. Who the fuck cares? Like, those that keep pushing, I'll be like, let me ask you this question. How many passing yards have we given up over the last 3 weeks? Oh, that's right. Sit the fuck down.
Too many.
Well, think about it here. 396 today, 350 something the week before that, and then another 400 something the week before that.
Well, we faced Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, so that helps.
I know, but we also faced Nick Mullins, Dak Prescott, Nick Mullins. It'd be one thing if we were also playing against the top quarterback for the Vikings, but we're playing against Nick fucking Mullins.
Yeah, we got 2 more picks today off him too, though. So I mean,
Oh yeah, we've gotten 6 picks off of him, but we also got thrown on for 800.
We got a pick off of Dak too.
So
I think some of that is that soft coverage he always plays. It's just garbage. It gets us shredded,
Yeah, did you watch Campbell's interview today? He was saying that a couple of those long passes were miscommunication between the safeties. Like Kirby and CD Deuce weren't used to playing with each other since game 2. And somehow one guy thought the other guy was going to be the deep coverage, and neither one was. So that's what happened.
Either way, all I know is that we need to make sure that when we play this upcoming week, that we are on our P's and Q's. Because it's like, listen, Nick Mullins and Stafford are not the same. Stafford is going to tear you apart. You have to be on your A's and P's and Q's and everything in between. Braylon Dennis asks, Jags lost our Texans division leaders. I would have to take a look at the division standings, but I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, I think they are.
I'm about to look it up right now. So as it stands, Dolphins and Bills are playing out for their division standing. So Ravens won the AFC North. Yep, Texans won the AFC South. At 10-7, they won the AFC South, which is funny considering the fact everybody thought that they were going to be rebuilding. And not only do they make it into the playoffs, but they're division winners. That's funny.
Yep.
It's a weak division, mind you, but still, they won it.
Oh, yeah, it's a weak division. Don't get me wrong. It's a weak division. But, all right, next question here. So, DC will start this question, and I know he's probably going to enjoy this one. So, here it is. Jack Campbell had by far his best game of the season for the finale. Do you think he's finally made that jump like Gibbs, Branch, and Laporta did?
Oh, yeah, I think he's made it a while ago, but he was a badass today. That's for damn sure. Him and Alex in that middle are something else to watch at times. Damn good duo to have there.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. What do you think, Jay? Do you think that Jack Campbell finally kind of made that jump to the next level with the rest of the rookies as have the rest of throughout the totality of the year? Damn, I can't speak over my own tongue.
Yeah, I do. I think he's been learning from the other people, and next year he's going to be a beast.
All right, fair enough. Chemical, what do you think? Do you think that Jack Campbell made the jump?
No, I think he made the jump. He made it a while ago. There's nothing new. He's been all over the field all season long doing his thing. So it's not like he just really woke up.
So what you're saying is you think he's been doing it. It's just not been showing up necessarily on the stat sheet.
No, they talked about his stat sheet today. They said that they talked about it on
No, I know what you're saying. I'm talking about the rest of the season, not today. The stat sheet was prevalent today. He was the leading tackler for the team.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's what I was saying. Like, it's been there. It just hasn't been showing up in the stat columns after each of the games.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that part.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think, Wes? What are your thoughts on Jack Campbell?
I think he's got better his last several games because we moved him to the middle where he belongs. He's better there than he is at Sam, where we used him for a few games. And he's better there than he is at Will. I think Anzalone is better at Will with Campbell in the middle. I think we're better that way. We usually only use 2 linebackers. So the only time we use 3 linebackers is one really is just an edge rusher. So I like it better with Campbell in the middle instead of trying to cover people as much. It's more of just being a run stopper, for sure.
All right, fair enough. So then that brings us to Dan. What do you think, Dan? What are your thoughts on Jack Campbell?
I mimic what Wes just said. He's better in the spots that he's been right there in the middle. And God damn, that guy flew in there like a bat out of hell on that sack. He looked faster than what that 40 time said. And I remember a lot of people ripped us. They're like, "Oh, Jack Campbell, he's a slow linebacker." When we took him, well, he doesn't play like it. Hell yeah, he made that jump though.
Yeah,
made it a while ago.
Play, that running back looked like he was scared to try to block him. He sort of jumped out of his way.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it is a very simple one here, is that you go back to the draft period, and you all remember it, because some of you guys were on the draft show when I was doing this. When we drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, there were a lot of people that were pissed off about drafting Gibbs as a first-round running back. And I'm like, Gibbs is a kind of a different running back here. That's a guy that can do a lot of damage on multiple fronts. So I was like, okay, that one, whatever. But when we drafted Jack Campbell, I knew there was one particular individual who was pissed off about it, and it was Braylon Edwards from freaking Woodward Sports, because he hated Jack Campbell.
I watched their draft show, and Braylon Edwards straight walked off their show when they made the Jack Campbell pick. He was pissed.
I remember watching that, and I remember hearing the call come in. I laughed my ass off. I was like, hysterical. Somebody on Woodward Sports is about to get pissed. And it's funny because it's like everybody thought, Jack Campbell, he's too slow. He's too old school linebacker. And it's like, have you not seen the boy play?
Man,
he's got the ability to play sideline to sideline. He's very good for what he does. It's just learning the system, and it's learning his position. So for me, it was like, I know he's going to get there. I mean, linebacker is a very hard position to learn in the NFL. You got a lot of responsibilities going on. But I'm like, I'm sure Jack Campbell's going to learn, because remember, what did the coaches say when we heard it from the scouts? When they were having their sit down with Jack Campbell, he was running the defensive install to them. It's like, you got a rookie that's doing that. You got yourself a pretty damn good rookie. So I thought Jack Campbell did well, but I think, like I said, I think this was his best game of the year. Led the team in tackles, got tackles for losses, sack. I mean, he did great. This was by far his best game of the year. Patty Grimes, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I refuse to make this about race. There's too many people that want to make it about race.
I couldn't even see the comment. What was she?
Patty Grimes says Braylon doesn't like Campbell because he's not a certain color.
What?
Don't go.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That's
Come on,
what I
Patty.
said. I'm not making this about race. I think more than anything, it just has to do with the fact Braylon didn't like his 40 time, made that the sole focus of his argument, and then when the Lions drafted him anyway, he was just pissed off because the Lions, in his opinion, just probably threw a big FU at him. Like, here's what your thought is. Here's what our thought is.
Most of Woodward Sports was pissed we didn't stay and take Jalen Carter is what it was. I've been watching their show for weeks. They hated us passing on him. That's why they were pissed. So.
Oh, I know they were. And the funny thing about it is what has Jalen Carter really done this year? I mean, people were talking about him early on, but he hasn't really done anything really in the last couple of weeks.
In the last couple of weeks, no. I mean, early on, he's made some plays, some tackles for losses, couple sacks, but he's not been like this elite guy that everyone thought he'd be or whatever yet. So
no, not
Jalen
yet.
Carter would have been clickbait for him.
So far, this is what
Jalen
Jalen Carter has done for the year. He has 6 sacks, and let's see here. What the hell else has he got? He's got 6 sacks, 18 tackles, and 2 forced fumbles. That's it.
That's all right. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad, but it's like, okay, Jack Campbell, who helps us in the linebacking room, actually played pretty damn good for a first year. 2 sacks, lots of hits. I would say it's an even trade, in my opinion, for now.
Can I say something, though? First of all, we got Campbell at pick 18. Jalen Carter was gone by pick 10. Philly took him, okay? We traded pick 6 to get pick 12 and pick 32, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. And we took Laporta and Gibbs with those 2 picks, which is a hell of a lot better than we would have taken Jalen Carter. We get those 2 guys.
Yeah, so I agree.
Totally won that trade, 100%.
Braylon Dennis says that for Braylon Edwards, he says, his name sounds similar to mine. It feels weird. I used to get that a lot growing up for me. I digress. I mean, if you're talking about a player like Braylon Edwards, I mean, he was a decent NFL player. He wasn't terrible, but again, when people take a look at him and they listen to him on Woodward Sports, it's like, first and foremost here, let's back up here. The only connection that Braylon Dennis has to the state of Michigan is the fact that he went to U of M. Other than that, he's a Cleveland Brown. It's like, forget the whole conversation topic about whether or not he's a Lions fan. He's not. The only reason he's even there is because he's a U of M alumni.
Mm-hmm.
But that's whatever. That's irrelevant. Moving on to the next topic here, and I know somebody brought this up before, and Dan will start us off for this one. So here we go. While Gibbs and Monty could not both get 1,000 yards to make NFL history, Monty did crack 1,000 yards rushing with 1,015 yards, meaning that the Lions have had their first consecutive seasons with 1,000-yard rushers since 1997-98 with Barry Sanders. How important are these 2 guys to our offense, or better yet, to the team at large? What do you think?
They're very important because the strength of this team is supposed to be our run game, and both Monty and Gibbs have been pretty damn good for us this year. It's just awesome. I love it, and they've been really important. They've helped us win some big games.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Wes? What are your thoughts on Gibbs and Monty's importance to us?
Well, between the 2 of them, they got almost 2,000 yards. And between the 2 of them, they got like 23 freaking touchdowns. Because one had 13, the other one had 10, right? That's 23 touchdowns. So I'd say our rushing game is maybe the best in the NFL right now, overall.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chemical? What about you, the importance of Gibbs and Monty and all that?
They are the best running back tandem in the NFL and an upgrade from what we had last year.
All right. What do you think, Jay? What are your thoughts?
You say Chris or Jay?
I said Jay. Chris hasn't answered in like the last 5 goes, so I think he kind of either stepped off or something.
Okay. I mean, Gibbs and Monty are one of the best dynamic running back duos, even though Gibbs didn't hit his 1,000 yards. You know, it's not to say he's a bad player, because we kind of were playing him kind of soft at the beginning of the year. So we would have been if they would have been pushing him a little bit more at the beginning, he probably would have got his 1,000 yards. But, you know, there's going to be more of a scare, like something to be scared of next year. Like, you got 2 dynamic running backs, you got all them weapons. It's going to be, they don't know who to stop.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. What do you think, DC? What are your thoughts on Monty and Gibbs and how important they are?
Well, as I said, you have over 2,000. You have almost 2,000 yards. You have over 20 touchdowns, and the best play action quarterback in football. I think it pretty well says that they are one of the most important parts of this team. I mean, all throughout the year, particular Monty, he gets a tough yardage. He gets the third down conversions. He's been getting the touchdowns. He's been carrying defenses. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I wouldn't trade this running back tandem for anybody.
All right, fair enough. Here's the way I look at it here, first and foremost. The first thing of importance to me about this whole situation is the fact that it has taken almost nearly as long as the Lions have had to wait to get division crown status again to get 2 1,000-yard back-to-back consecutive seasons. Think about that. 1998 was the last time, and 97 was the last time. So it's taken almost 30 years for the Lions to have 2 consecutive 1,000-yard rushers. Now, granted, it wasn't the same 2 1,000-yard rushers because last year it was Jamal Williams. This year it's Montgomery. But that's 2 straight years the Lions have put together 1,000-yard rushers. That, to me, is something that's rather important because it's like, okay, it shows that the Lions can consistently keep that running game going, which is exactly what we were expecting from Dan Campbell because Dan Campbell's old school. He's ground and pound. But at the same time, we've also known this for a while. The NFL has evolved from having a one-back system. You need to have 2 backs. You need to have a complementary back system rather than the one bell cow running back that was the staple for the early 2000s. Like, there's very few teams that really have that one running back system anymore. The Steelers are one with Najee Harris. The Titans are one with freaking Derrick Henry. And the Giants are the other with Saquon Barkley. That's it. The rest of the NFL teams usually use a myriad of multiple running backs to split the load. But if you realistically want to think about it, you name me 5 other teams in the NFL that have got a better running back combo than the Lions do in Gibbs and Montgomery. They're a perfect complement to one another. So to me, I think they're absolutely important because, again, like you said, DC, Jared Goff is the king of play action. And when those 2 get going, Goff is damn lethal out of play action. So that's just my personal opinion. We got a lot of comments on this one. Holy cow. Got like 35 of them here. So we're going to try and go through this. LDB Tenda says, on the cart, Laporta looked good for someone with a knee injury. Again, it was a hyperextension and a bone bruise. Again, I think with the fact that he's tough, he's young, there's a chance he could play. And again, with it being the playoffs, injuries kind of take a backseat for a guy trying to play. If he can play on it, they're going to try and get him out there. J Mommy says, not drafting Carter. The Lions got 20 touchdowns from Gibbs and Laporta. Case closed. That's a great way to look at it. That's a great way to look at it. Thomas Rotundi says, Laporta has a hyperextended knee with bone bruise per Jay Glazer and also Jeremy Fowler. Braylon Dennis says they're very close. They're very important. Rude Boy Gang says Braylon Dennis is a Michigan great. I don't care. The only Michigan great I care about is Tom Brady. Other than that, the rest of them can all kiss the black hole that every human on the planet has.
Well, don't forget about Hutch.
Don't forget about Charles Woodson.
Again, the rest of them, Hutchinson, I care about because he's a Lions player.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Woodson, whatever. I mean, he also has got one of the few things that few other players don't have. He has an MVP trophy. Well, he was a Heisman winner. He's in a club of only a few players that have only done something that I think like 7 or 8 other players have done. They did a documentary on it that actually had Barry Sanders in it.
Yeah.
No, not Super Bowl.
Yeah, but he played for the Packers, so he's dead to me.
Yeah.
Charles Woodson did something that puts him in an elite group that only like 7 or 8 other players have done. And I'm trying to remember what it was. I can't remember what it was, but Charles
probably
Woodson,
Defensive Player of the Year and Heisman Trophy, and I don't know, maybe a Super Bowl. I don't know what the other was.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but it was
he's
something.
Dead to me. He played for the Packers.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, Charles Woodson is what he is. Like, he's very, very important. He's a very great player. I just don't care as much because it's like, listen, where you went to college is incontroversial to me. It's like, listen, all I care about is what you did in the NFL. And Charles Woodson made a lot of Lions fans miserable for a lot of years as a Packer.
Yeah, he did.
Let's see here. Thomas Rotondi says they're the best tandem with numbers speak with over 1,900 yards combined and 23 touchdowns. Rude Boy Gang says Goff got 30 TDs. Yes, he did. Thomas Rotundi says, please bring Robert Saleh or Ron Rivera to coach the D. Saleh's not going anywhere. He's going to get one more year with the Jets. That's not changing.
Rivera's going to the old age home.
Rivera probably is going to retire. I just don't see him taking a coordinator job. I just don't see it. He's been a head coach for the last 15-something years. I don't see him taking a demotion. Rude Boy Gang says bring Schwartz back. Schwartz has already said he'd like to have another shot as a head coach, so I don't think he's going to come back to Detroit to be a defensive coordinator. I just don't see that happening either.
Then we'll be running the wide 9 again.
Rude Boy Gang says, I root for everybody from Michigan. Here's my root status for Michigan. I will root for Michigan when they're playing OSU. That's the only time I will ever root for them because I'm an MSU fan. Don't care what anyone says. Anyway.
We're going to win a natty on Monday night, though, just saying.
Yeah, you guys play Washington, and Washington is not the same team as Texas. Great job that they beat Texas, but I think Michigan's going to whomp Washington.
Yes, sir.
So let's move on to our next topic here. We've got 3 more to go, so we're getting on here to the end of this. So, DC, here's the question for you, which again kind of goes back to Glenn in a way, but here it is. NFL rumor mill has both Glenn and Johnson being heavily pursued in the offseason for head coaching vacancies. Do you think they get hired? What's your thoughts?
Glenn, yes. I'm pretty sure Johnson's going to stick around. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he's not 40 yet. He's had little to no coaching experience overall, let alone head coaching. So, yeah, I think he knew last year that he wasn't ready for it, and he'll probably stick again. Glenn probably thinks it's his time, and plus he might be sensing how his clock is running. Patience is running a bit thin with him.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Jay? What are your thoughts on Glenn and Johnson being heavily pursued? Do you think they get hired this offseason? Or rather, should I say, do you hope one does?
Well, yeah, I mean, I hope and pray with all my heart and soul that Aaron Glenn gets the fuck out of Detroit and never returns. As far as Johnson, I just don't know if anybody's going to pay that bill. Like, he wants a lot of money to be a first-time head coach.
That's a Twitter rumor, too. Don't believe everything you hear.
Well, let's just play hypothetical here. Let's just say that it is true. Most head coaches don't get paid $15 million. And I think that if the rumor has even any truth to it, which my father always taught me, behind every lie or rumor, there's a little bit of truth. Let's just say it's somewhere in that ballpark. Ben Johnson might be putting that out there to kind of deter people from trying to hire him because he knows most coaches are not going to get paid that much.
Well,
the only team that might be willing to put that much money out there might be the Panthers because Tepper is that damn stupid.
Ben Johnson's agent has come out and saying that tweet was false and that he never asked for that.
Well, if that's the
probably
case,
not.
then I don't know. But again, I go back to what was reported as true. What Ben Johnson said last year, he said, listen, the biggest reason I came back to Detroit was because of Jared Goff. So to me, it's like, as long as Goff is here, Ben Johnson is likely going to stay here as well. So that's just my personal opinion.
I was also gonna say, not even just the money. Just like I don't see an attractiveness for him yet. Like the only team that may be attractive enough for him to leave here is the Chargers, and they already got a hot shot coordinator that they might give an interview to. That's the only team I can see him leaving to. Other than that, like there's no other team that is sexy enough or like the appeal is there for it. You'd be risking losing your job.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Chemical, what do you think? Do you think that both of our coordinators, what do you think happens with Johnson and Glenn in the offseason?
I think Glenn is going to leave because I heard Johnson say something a couple of weeks ago when they did the press conference. He said ask Aaron Glenn about being a head coach. They'll get an opportunity. He's hotter than me right now.
All right.
I don't think he wants to leave.
I don't think so either. Sorry, I was just watching the post game celebration in the locker room with Dan Campbell and the guys. It was kind of nice because they brought in Martha and they brought in Sheila. It was kind of nice watching. It was really kind of cute actually, because it's like Martha's coming in and she's coming in with her stroller because she's a little bit on the older side, and they give the ball to her and then Sheila, and it's just like for all we say about the Fords, like they actually do care about the Lions. Like,
is there a way you could post that in the chat? Because like I missed it, and I actually want to see that. So.
It'll be on YouTube tomorrow.
Yeah, it's actually already on
YouTube. The Lions
I just
channel,
watched it. I just watched it on my phone.
Okay.
So if you go to the Detroit Lions YouTube page and click on videos, it's the very first video.
Okay, all right, I got you.
So it's like about a 1.5, 2-minute video. Nothing serious, but it's nice. Yeah. It's cute.
Yeah.
Chemical just answered. So Wes, what are your thoughts on Johnson and Glenn? What do you think?
Okay, if the odds of it happening, I think Johnson's probably staying. If one of them leaves, it'll be Glenn. And if he leaves, that's fine for us because he'll be a minority hire as a head coach, and we'll get 2 third-round draft picks, one this year and one the following year. So, I mean, sounds outstanding to me.
Nice.
Let him leave.
I didn't think that.
Well,
you get 2 comp picks. If your coordinator leaves and he's a minority and he gets a head coaching job, you get 2 third-round comp picks. One this year, one the following year.
Well, the way I look at it is this. It's like, the last 2 years in the offseason, Glenn has gotten interviews from multiple teams. Now, is that part of the Rooney Rule? Yeah, I'm sure it's part of the Rooney Rule. But at the same time, it's like, listen, it's quite obvious that a lot of people respect Aaron Glenn. They think he's a good coach. And it's like, listen, if Aaron Glenn goes, I'm not going to shed any tears about it because it's like, listen, as far as I am concerned, we've got the talent that we need for the most part on this defense, save the cornerback room. We need another edge rusher, yes, but the defensive line, stacked. Linebacker room, we got Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Malcolm Rodriguez, we're good there. Safety room, we're good there. It's like, other than a couple more pieces on defense, we've got the talent to make it work. What we need is a scheme that works. And Aaron Glenn has had 2 different defensive schemes that have come through, and both of them have had lukewarm results. First, it was the 3-4, and then we switched over to a 4-2-5. And it hasn't produced the results we were looking for. So for me, it's like, if AG goes, I'm not going to cry about it. Now, if Ben Johnson goes, that's a different story. I don't think it's going to happen, but I still say I would cry. But Big Dan, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the whole Glenn and Ben Johnson talk?
I think Ben Johnson stays here as long as Jared Goff is still here, like you guys put out there. And for the love of God, someone please hire Aaron Glenn. I'm sick of this mofo. This guy, I can't stand the guy. Like, he just needs to leave. Hey, it's one of them things, though. Like, I think he's going to be a better head coach than he is a coordinator, though. I don't think he's all bad, but his coaching style and the way he does things just drives me nuts. Somebody will hire him wherever Belichick and Harbaugh don't end up. I think that's the job for AP.
I don't think Harbaugh is going anywhere. Didn't he just sign a 10-year, $125 million contract?
That was a rumor. He didn't sign anything yet, and now there's plenty of people out there saying that if Michigan wins the Natty, since that's what he wanted to get Michigan to, that he's as good as gone. So he's still, and then NFL Network is reporting he's a serious candidate for like the Raiders and the Chargers job. So he's still on the head coaching list.
I would say this, like, if you're talking about the most attractive head coaching jobs right now, Chargers and Raiders definitely lead that list. Probably the least attractive jobs right now would probably be the Patriots and would probably be the Commanders, because the Patriots, they're a mess at quarterback just like the Commanders are. The Patriots have got a lot of guys on their roster that don't really fit because they've been trying to continue to do Bill Belichick's method, which obviously that has proven not to work since Brady left. So it's like that's going to take time. Now the Commanders, you've got new ownership. It's going to be patience. There's going to be a chance for you to work. But again, you've got a lot of stuff you got to work with. But that Raiders team, Antonio Pierce proved that he can make it work.
There could be potential coaching jobs open in Arizona if they move on from what's his face. And I've heard some rumors Atlanta might fire Arthur Smith. So I mean,
there's
that's
going to be
another
8 or 10 jobs available before it's all
Yeah.
said and done.
I fully expect there'll be about 5 to 7 head coaching vacancies this offseason. And at that point, you have to ask yourself the question, who makes the plunge and starts hiring like these coordinators and just goes out and says, hey, you know what, this is what we're going to do. So it wouldn't surprise me if AG gets hired. Like some team is going to believe in him enough to take the plunge, whoever that is. And then you got to think about this as well. There's one team out there that might have a new head coach, and it might be the most improbable team of them all, the Steelers, because I keep hearing crap out of Steeltown that fans want to move off of Mike Tomlin because they're tired of not getting back to the Super Bowl. And it's like, the man's had 17 straight winning seasons. It's like, I would think you guys would be happy with him.
Well, why would you move on from him? He's a winner. Like, he might not always get to the Super Bowl, but he's always had a winning season, and he gets you to the playoffs. So that's crazy.
That's why.
Hey, I agree with y'all. It's just, again, when you talk to Steelers fans, at least some of them, the first thing they go to is they're like, oh, yeah, you know, Mike Tomlin has all these winning seasons, but when's the last time we got to the Super Bowl? When's the last time we got deep in the playoffs? They always go to the fact that, yeah, we've won all these straight seasons, but we have very little postseason success since like early 2010s. And it's like, do you realize how many teams would just die for the fact to say that their team hasn't had a losing season in near 20 years? To die for the fact that they constantly win their division or go to the playoffs damn near every freaking year? I know Lions fans would kill for that opportunity.
That's why Steelers fans are assholes that drink Cosmos.
Yeah, I know. You sent me that text message. Braylon Dennis says, we forgot about Dave Phipp, the special teams coordinator. Never talked about him. That's the reason why, unfortunately, Braylon. Most people don't think about special team coordinators.
They don't get head coaching jobs, special team coordinators. That's why.
No,
except for that one guy with the Giants. He's not there anymore, but yeah.
And the Ravens, John Harbaugh was a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, for a time he was, but again, it doesn't happen very often. Usually when it comes to coordinators getting head coaching jobs, it's either defensive coordinators or offensive coordinators. Sometimes a position coach might get one, depending upon how good they are. But usually that's reserved for guys like quarterback coaches and stuff like that. Again, it does not happen typically for special teams coordinators. It just doesn't typically happen. But all right, let's move off to this last comment, which somebody brought this up. This was brought up earlier in the show. So Dan will get this one to start off, and then when Wes comes back, he'll get next dibs. So here it is. Lions had 4 players that scored 10-plus touchdowns on the seasons, that being Gibb, Montgomery, Laporta, and St. Brown, along with Goff scoring 32 touchdowns, 30 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. This is something that hasn't happened since the 2013 Broncos, who made the Super Bowl, and is only the second time in NFL history to ever occur. So, I just have to ask this question. What does this mean to you?
I think that's very damn good for our offense, and it's going to help us going into the playoffs. We got a high-powered offense, and I think it's going to help us beat the Rams, whether that game be on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday night. So that's awesome, though. That's an awesome feat right there. I love it.
I'll replay it for you, Wes, since you just came back. Lions have 4 players that scored 10-plus touchdowns on the season: Gibbs, Monty, Laporta, and St. Brown, along with Goff, who scored 30 touchdowns passing, 2 rushing. This is something that has not happened since 2013 with the Broncos, who made the Super Bowl, and it's only happened now for the second time in NFL history. For this to happen, what does this mean to you?
Well, it'll mean a lot more if Laporta plays next week, unfortunately. But as long as we win the games, I don't care how we get them or who scores the touchdown, to be honest with you.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chemical?
I think it's going to mean a whole lot because, like I said, high-power offense, hard to stop. You got enough people to get to spread the ball to. If you try to double somebody's going to be open. Then you still got our killers, like you got Reynolds, and you got Peoples Jones who's starting to show up, and hopefully we'll have back J-Mo, and let's see what happens with Khalif Raymond and Laporta.
Oh wow! So I'm sorry to interrupt this question, but I just saw this. You guys know all about that injury that happened to St. Brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know what caused that injury?
What was that?
It's being reported here, and there's video evidence now on Twitter that when St. Brown got tackled that one time and he came up and grabbing his ribs, that a Vikings defensive player, the defensive tackle Harrison Phillips, drove his knee deliberately into St. Brown's rib cage as he was coming off the ground.
Yeah, I seen that.
So St. Brown was injured on a dirty play.
I wonder if that'll be reviewed by the league and if there'll be any fine or anything towards the Vikings player. Not that it really matters, but
no, his ass is going to be sitting on the couch eating Lay's potato chips.
Well, the fine would hurt him, and maybe they suspend him next year. But yeah.
Well, still, it kind of sucks because it's like, so what you're telling me is St. Brown didn't get injured because of good, clean football. He got injured because somebody was trying to take him deliberately out of the game.
Well, I mean, that's an old school defensive play. I mean, pushing off people, pushing off knees, maybe hitting an eye on the way up. That's just how you play defense.
Yeah, it's like biting a kneecap, isn't it?
Yeah,
exactly. But still, it's just like, dude, it's like, I understand your division rivals. I understand you're losing. I understand that St. Brown's giving you headaches, but our players didn't go after Justin Jefferson and try and take him out, even though he was tearing us up for days.
Well, if we did, he might have not gotten 3,000 yards against us.
You know what? I seen another play. When one of the Vikings had hit him in the same side in that same area with his helmet as he was being tackled.
Nolan Ziegler says that particular player was fined 2 weeks ago for unnecessary roughness when he played them the last time.
Oh, so he probably gonna get it again then.
Probably, but. Okay, Jay, going back to you. 4 players, 10-plus touchdowns, has not happened since 2013. Second time only in NFL history to happen. What does it mean to you? What are your thoughts on it?
Explosive offense.
I love it. And, oh, by the way, that player was their Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate.
You might lose that one.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious. And then Jody Salmon brings up and says, or Sue stepping on an arm, LOL.
Yeah. Well, you remember what Dick Butkus once said? I never looked upon a football field as a place to make friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I mean, it's just part of the game.
It's a dirty part of it, but it's a part of it. Yeah.
It's a part of it. And again, as we all know, the game has completely changed since when Dick Butkus and Mean Joe Green played, Jack Ham Lambert played. It's very different now.
But it's like the target guys' heads when you hit them back then.
Oh, for sure. But all I'm simply saying is this, that the sportsmanship has definitely kind of taken a tide for the worse because it's like, listen, back in those days, yeah, players would play hard. They'd get into fights, but players were not deliberately, going for dirty blows unless they just hated each other. But it's like, listen, there was a sense of respect for players, except, of course, like you said, DC, the Raiders. The Raiders didn't give a fuck who you were. They were trying to take
because they hated everybody anyways.
I was about to say, Jack Tatum tried to take more wide receivers' heads off over the middle than anybody.
He did one. Literally, he's in a wheelchair.
You got to realize the league wouldn't know about concussions like they do now. The medical science wasn't where it is now. You understand why the rules had to change, but it
Nolan
wasn't more
Ziegler,
entertaining
yes,
to watch back then.
Ziegler, we have brought up the fact that Levi Onwuzurike got a sack along with Jack Campbell and 2 for Hutch. We brought that up earlier on in the show.
Yeah, Levi Onwuzurike, yeah.
Jay Amami says a player who does something like that should be charged. That's a felony. I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, it's going to happen on a football field. They're not going to charge them. They're going to say it's a dirty play, and they're going to fine him.
He's going to say it was accidental.
Of course they're going to say that. That's what Hutch said. He said, I wasn't trying to step on his leg when I went backwards.
Well, the sue you meant, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Pardon me. It's like I wasn't trying to step on that player's leg when I was going backwards. It's like, you're telling me you didn't feel a big old meaty leg from a lineman there?
Oh, well, people just crying because he was a Packer.
I know. But, DC, it's your turn now. 4 players, 10-plus touchdowns. Goff, 30-plus touchdowns. Hasn't happened since 2013. Broncos did it, went to the Super Bowl, second time NFL history. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I do think about all the times this year that we haven't been happy with the offense, that Ben Johnson has been on consistently the losers list. And, I think there is one stretch we had like a 13 or 14 and out. And still, we did something one other NFL team did, had 5 people with 10 touchdowns, rookie of the year or tight end rookie setting record.
MVP.
Yeah, I mean, and we had that many bad times on offense, and we still did that. Holy shit, if we were clicking, damn, there would be 5 players with, who knows, 15 touchdowns. So, yeah, we've just untapped the potential of this offense, or just started it. We haven't seen it all the way yet.
Well, you still have to think about it this way. I'm actually going to kick your thought process up a notch here, because after this is our last topic. But think about this one, DC. You actually hit on a very good point here. Everybody wants to, again, going back to the Jared Goff comment here, everyone wants to talk about how Jared Goff is just an average quarterback. How does an average quarterback do something that's only been done one other time in NFL history? And that one other quarterback that did it is Peyton fucking Manning.
Yep. Exactly.
And when Peyton Manning did it, he couldn't even feel his right hand, and he threw 50 fucking touchdowns in a season.
Yep.
So it's like, you guys all want to say Jared Goff sucks, but it's like, Jared Goff's in some pretty fucking prestigious company in certain areas.
Yeah, so much for those ugly balls, huh?
I don't care what anyone says about Jared Goff's wobblers. It's like, Peyton Manning threw wobblers the majority of the last half of his career. Man's still in the fucking Hall of Fame. Get over it.
What did he throw that incomplete pass today? He had to be about 50 or 60 yards that he overthrew. Who was it?
St. Brown. St. Brown was going all the way down the field, and Goff just uncorked that bitch, and it went like 10 yards over St. Brown's head.
I wish that
thing
was
had to be
Jamo.
every bit of 50 yards.
That was Jamo. He'd have ran it down.
Yep.
But he wasn't playing.
I was about to say, I think he thought Jamo was still playing from last week in Dallas. Because Jamo was out there. Goff freaking on that throw to Jamo last week. Like, he got hit and uncorked that thing, and it went 60 yards in the air. It's like, and Goff can't throw deep?
Yeah, these damn people don't know what the hell they're talking about, just what they're told.
Exactly. And most of them are professional tape reporters from Woodward. Speaking of Woodward, DC, did you hear about how dude, this is going to make everybody in here laugh. But did you see about how CJ Gardner-Johnson got on Twitter and called Easy from the Woodward Heavyweights a clown?
I didn't see it. I don't watch Woodward anymore. I quit watching it.
I'm serious. I saw this. CJ Gardner-Johnson heard something that Easy said on his show for Woodward Heavyweights, and he got on there and he said that, this guy be a clown.
Well, I think that's because he said CJ's a bad teammate because he said he didn't want to.
That's exactly what it was related to.
Yeah.
Because he said he didn't want to be part of a rotation.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, what would you expect him to say? He's okay with rotation. He's a natural competitor. He wants to play. I'm fine with it.
He's like a 3-time Pro Bowler that led the league in interceptions last year. Of course he wants to play every snap.
Exactly. So it's like you've got this tub of lard over here who probably hasn't played a down since middle school, trying to tell a guy who's been to the Super Bowl how to do his business. It's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Anyway,
here's the thing: those guys on Woodward Sports, he knew he was wrong for saying that. they like to say things to draw conversation and piss people off on purpose just to get people talking. That's why they do it. It's a troll job by them.
It's like 97.1. It's clickbait.
Oh, I know it. I know, but to me, it's like that again brings back another conversation for me. It's like, okay, if you're doing it strictly to get conversation or to get clicks or views or whatever, why not be genuine to yourself rather than disingenuous, just so that way you can say you got a better video than somebody else? It's
I know. That's how Woodward Sports is. They like to fuck with people and piss people off just to get people talking. It's the way they've always been.
No, I get it.
They're
And
actors
that's
and instigators. That's it. They're not journalists. They're actors and instigators.
well, that's always
how
been
the internet works these days. The stupider the thing is you said, the more clicks you get.
No, and I get that. That's part of the reason why I've always had a problem with Woodward, because it's like they literally are like this. They're like a sheet in the wind, back and forth, back and forth. There's no consistency. Whatever they think is going to get the biggest clicks or the biggest views, that's what they go with. And it's like, at that point, you're not being reporters. At that point, you're being opinion writers, and you're trying to get the biggest opinion piece to go your way.
Yeah, you're just saying something stupid to get people arguing about it. That's all you're doing.
Exactly. And to me, that to me is the worst kind of reporting that it is. Because if you're going to be a sports podcaster, either say you're a podcaster that's talking about genuine news, or you're a sports entertainer. That's all I'm saying. Like that one Packers guy that has over like 100,000 subscribers. He's an entertainer.
Grossi,
yeah.
Well, he's very
Grossi,
good. I watch him all the time. I'm a member of his channel.
He's an entertainer. He's not a podcaster. Yeah, he's funny as hell. That's how he makes.
That's why he's got like 750,000 viewers on YouTube.
Exactly. It's like, if that's what your stick is, then say that's what your stick is. But if you're going to be disingenuous about it and say, "Oh, well, we're a serious news reporting outlet," no, the fuck you aren't. Don't piss on my back and call it rain. I know the difference.
Grossi never called himself a serious news reporter.
No, I've watched Tom Grossi. He's hilarious as hell.
Yeah.
He's funny as hell. I love watching his stuff, and he's a Packers fan. It's like, dude, I love watching it because he makes me laugh. But
Brian Branch, no.
Last topic here. Last topic for the night. So we now know who we're playing in the wild card, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit. So we'll start with you, Big West, because Dan stepped off. I don't know if he'll be back or not. But here's the question. We know we're playing the Rams. So my question is this. We're probably going to play primetime, but let's just play the hypothetical situation here that it hasn't been decided. Would you much rather prefer playing a primetime playoff game or playing like a 1 p.m. playoff game? What do you think?
Well, all the playoff games, there's only one game on at a time. It's not like people have a choice which one you're going to watch. But I'd rather it be at like either 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock rather than at 1 o'clock. There's only going to be one 1 o'clock game. I think there's a Monday night game. There's a Saturday game at 4, a Saturday night game at 8. And there's 3 games on Sunday, 1, 4, and 8. So
True.
As long as we're not the 1 o'clock game on Sunday, I don't care. I mean, I just want to see the game.
I get that. I guess I'm just talking about it from the perspective that most people are, because they're like, there's only one player, there's only one team or 2 teams on at a time, and they're going to get all the attention for that prime time, whatever. But it's like when you think prime time slots, it's always night games.
I'm watching all 6 games because I love football, especially in the playoffs.
Well, I know this much. When it comes to football, I will watch the Cowboys-Packers game, and I will watch the Lions-Rams game. I don't give a shit about the Eagles and the Bucks because both of those teams are crap. And the chances that we're likely going to play them are very small.
I think you'll see the Eagles and Bucks will be 1 o'clock Sunday because that's the game that gets the least viewers.
Yeah, because the Eagles are crap. The Bucks barely won their own division. So it's like nobody wants to watch that game. Unless you're just a diehard Eagles or Bucks fan, you ain't going to watch that shit. That's just the truth. What about you, Chemical? Would you much prefer to play early for the Lions game, or would you much rather it be a late night game?
Prime time? Because we've been prime time, what, like 6 times this year?
6 or 7, if you count Thanksgiving as well.
Yeah, prime time. I think we're going to be a prime time game. It's a bigger draw, too.
All right, fair enough. Jay, what do you want? Do you want it to be more early in the day, or would you prefer it to be late at night?
I want a primetime game because that's we played a lot of primetime games this year, and that seems to be when we play the best against teams that could be better or besides like the Packers game. And the only person I'm really worried about is Aaron Donald. If they don't like team him up and let him come straight at Jared Goff.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. And what about you, DC? What are your thoughts? Would you prefer it to be a night game or would you prefer it to be a daytime game? Doesn't really matter to us because we're in a dome either way.
I prefer a day game. Just screw the drama, get down to business, win it, and have a West Coast team play at 10 a.m. Their time.
Yeah, that's true because their time zone is going to be off by 3 hours.
I mean, it ain't going to be much, but it'll be something. I mean, it's not like West Coast teams lose every 1 o'clock game on the East Coast, but it can't be easy on them.
Well, you also have to think about this too. Even though they're going to be in a dome, the weather's going to be a little bit different for them as well.
Yep.
The only person that's going to be used to playing in Michigan is going to be Stafford.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, for me, I like the fact of I think the Lions can play anytime because they played games at all time slots this year. They played night games, they played 4:25, and they played 1 o'clock. So for me, it's like
Sunday, they played Saturday, they played every game.
Yeah, I was about to say they've played every single week game this year: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and Thursday.
Detroit is undefeated at nighttime this year, I believe. They've won every primetime game at nighttime.
No, they did lose one.
Dallas.
Well, the Dallas game. Well, they won that one too.
They should have won that game. They should have won that game. But I mean, if you think about it, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs at night. They beat the Packers at night. Let's see, who was the other game that they played that was a nighttime game? They beat the Raiders at night on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chiefs.
I already said the Chiefs.
Chiefs already said that.
Broncos,
they beat it Saturday night as well. So, yeah, all of their primetime games that they've played at night, save one, which was Dallas, they've won. So that's actually rather interesting now that I think about it. The only other primetime game they've technically lost was the Thanksgiving game against the Packers, which some people don't consider that a primetime game, but it is. We're the only team that plays at 12 o'clock on freaking Thursday.
We've also never lost a game in our all whites or all blues this year. So hopefully those are the uniform choice of one of those two.
That's true, but again, Dallas. Because we wore all whites against Dallas and lost that
was
game.
all blues, wasn't it?
No, it was all whites. All whites because Dallas
wore
wore their
better go with the all blues then.
Dallas wore their navy blue jerseys that game. So
what about our Grays?
Grays, we've won both of our games in because we beat the Raiders and we just beat the Vikings.
The one against Dallas was the only game we lost with one solid color for pants and shirt.
Well, and here's the thing. We're not going to wear whites because that's our away colors. We'll wear blues. So for me, the Lions are going to wear one of 3 combos. They're either going to wear the all gray jammies like they wore this week, highly unlikely. They're going to wear their blue and grays, or they're going to wear their all blues. And if I had to take a guess, they're wearing their all blues.
Probably.
So wish they'd wear their throwbacks.
No, they only wear those for Thanksgiving. Only ever wear those for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there's rules about when you can wear those things. You can't just wear them whenever you want. Same with the new helmets. You can only wear the helmets with the gray uniform.
That's just for this year. Next year, the rule allows them to change it out. But for this year, they can only wear it with the alternate uniforms.
Well, next year we're getting new uniforms too, so who knows what color they'll be. But yeah,
true. And I sure as hell hope they bring a black uniform in. I want a black fucking uniform.
And do that new helmet.
Black uniforms with those new helmets that look nice.
Do the new helmets in black. Screw that.
Those blue uniforms would look good in any other color combo. Black, all white, all blue, but the gray, it just throws it off.
Look, I saw a college team that had that same scheme. It was like Kentucky or Kansas or someone else. They looked exactly like the Lions. The gray with the
boy, this is actually a great comment here, and I know DC is going to enjoy this. Looking forward to the Sewell Donald fight.
That'll happen.
Dude, do you guys remember that from 2021? Dude, I remember that freaking Penei Sewell, rookie NFL player, going at it with Aaron Donald, just saying, "Screw you, old man. I don't care who you are."
He told me, "I'm not scared of you."
Exactly. I'm just like, and now imagine this: Penei Sewell's only gotten better.
Yep.
Think about that one. Now, granted, if I had to take a guess, they're probably going to try and move Aaron Donald more towards the inside against Frank Ragnow and the guards. But still, it's like, I'm looking forward for Aaron Donald going up against Penei Sewell. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. But, all right, folks, we have come to the end of our live stream for the regular season. Hopefully you guys have all enjoyed the regular season. I certainly did. 12-5. It feels good to say that. It feels good to have a playoff home game. 13-4 according to Jay, because we should have won against Dallas, but c'est la vie.
True.
I will say this though. I am looking forward to next week, whether it is against what time it's going to be against, don't matter, but against the Rams, that's going to be the most epic playoff game that we've probably seen in a long, long time.
It's gonna be a shootout.
So
Hopefully
I'm
not.
looking forward to this game because, like I said in my episode, I'm like, listen, the narrative writes itself. Goff versus McVay, Stafford coming back to Detroit. I mean, dude, you don't have to write this narrative. It's already written. At this point, it's just like, listen, we just can't wait for the game to come on because I guarantee you everybody that watches football will be watching that game. I don't care what fan base you're a part of. So with that having been said, I do know that tomorrow night, every U of M fan is going to be clicking in for the national game. So I'll say it just now, even though I'm not a U of M fan, go blue. Make sure you guys win against Washington so that way maybe Harbaugh can take another job and we keep Ben Johnson. But until that time, I just want to say God bless, one pride, go Lions, and until next week, hope you all have yourselves a good week.